We are live. It is Friday night. It's a Pontificators night. We got the crew. We're still waiting for Joe, the Thunder Buns, but we got most of us here. I think he'll show up later. So we have Chester Busby the third. We have Florida Man. Is it real? Todd, is it real? Is it?
It's real.
It's real, people. It is real.
Is it real life or is it just fantasy?
Is this the real life? You got to do it in a high voice.
Just fantasy.
No, dude, I'm not even going to attempt to imitate Freddie, man.
Well, you know what? I sang "Happy Birthday" to Dan Frega on his live stream just a few minutes ago, so I'm in a singing mood. So you guys watch out.
All right, good. That's good.
All right, so that's Todd Mulrooney, aka Florida Man. We have Comic Bob. How you been, Bob? What's up?
Oh God, dude, man, it's been a week and a half, man. Oh my God, I'm hoping something fun happens because this friggin' week has been a shit sandwich for the world.
Well, you know what I was thinking of doing, and you guys, yay or nay it. Let's just talk about like killer comic book moments, like things that we thought were cool when we were kids. Some of our favorite comics, maybe some of our favorite comic book. Like maybe novels that have been adapted into comics or film, or film that was, like comics that have been adapted to film. Just talk about like really cool stuff instead of a lot of the doom and gloom, because believe it or not, you guys, the world is fucking burning. I'm sorry, man.
It is.
There is some shit, the shit show that the real world is right now. I cannot believe it. And that's as negative as I'm going to get. But I think context.
I think Joe's backstage, by the way.
All right. Oh shit. Joe's he's in a library. What the hell? What is this?
Joe. Make me smile, Joe.
Somebody swallowed Joe. I think it's his library.
How's the mic? Can you hear me?
Oh,
No.
Look, he's wee.
Okay.
Aw, he's little.
Yeah,
He's
it
one of
sounds
the-
like
he's-
you're a mile away.
He's one of the proud feats.
All right. I will.
Hey, foot.
Whoa! Joe's gonna. Oh, we guilted.
No, we gotta look at Alex Winter.
No, I'm gonna fix the mic. I'll be right back.
All right.
Peer pressure.
When we started this, we had come up with some things that we thought might make the industry healthier, and it's funny because we are today, and it's not healthier today than it was then. It's actually probably 3 times less healthy now.
And a lot of the shit we predicted, man, we threw it out there, and we are starting to see it come to fruition. And it's weird because I think I work on a very intuitive level, and I think I knew that Paris was burning. I think I knew that the shit show was about to happen because I left DC just before, just before it got crazy. And then it just, like you said, Todd, it just amped up. Well, let's say hi to Zach. Zach, unmute yourself, the young lad.
Yeah, that thing. The mute button.
Yeah.
I was all talking like an idiot, Hi.
Yeah. So how you been, brother?
Doing real good. We got a hedgehog. That was my event of the week. Got a hedgehog.
Can you bring him and show us?
Yeah,
No, because he's asleep. He's asleep.
Well, no, wait,
Hedgehogs don't sleep.
Oh my gosh, they sleep all the time. Like
Sonic
90%
doesn't
of their
sleep.
existence. Yeah, and also they're not fast. They're not fast at all. He goes at it like this is the laziest. Except he thinks I'm food. So whenever he's near me, he smells the air and he's like, "Yeah, you taste good." And tries to bite me.
I think Zach just found out the joke of Sonic the Hedgehog that hedgehogs aren't fast.
They aren't fast.
Well, it was in the sneakers, by the way. I don't know if you guys
Oh,
knew.
I didn't know. It was sneakers that make him go fast.
Yeah.
It is.
Oh.
Yeah. Those Air Jordans, baby.
Yeah, it's like the joke when they had, what was that snail movie where the snail was going to race against like Daytona cars and stuff?
Turbo?
Yeah.
Joe, you need to bring your camera down like 3 feet.
Yeah, dude, seriously, you really do look like you're 3 apples high.
Really, you really,
How's the mic?
And
Mike's good.
Mike's fine.
Mike's good. Can you zoom your camera in?
Yeah, hang on.
I think he wants to show off all his books, though.
Yeah,
I know he does.
Seriously,
but,
you look like one of those heads in the jar on friggin' Futurama sitting on the shelf.
Well, Joe's still working on perfection, man. Perfection is ongoing, so
That's true.
If you watch any of my live streams,
Hey, there he is.
Now there you go. That's down, more down, more.
There you go.
There,
Oh.
a little bit more, a little bit more.
There you
Touch
go.
more. Touch
Good.
more.
No, that's good. That's good. That's good.
We are cutting his beard off a little bit with the.
Looks
A little
like-
bit. I'm sad.
Looks a little bit like Jimmy the Anvil Neidhart. I think it's all right.
Oh my God, that is
Yeah, that's right.
perfection. Look at that.
Look at that. There you go. That's how you do that, Joe.
You know what? We just thought we knew Joe, and now we really know Joe because we got the background. We got Joe in full frame. We got
There
no
you
fucking
go.
backdrop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I
You don't
just
know
noticed-
Joe
How am I the skinniest person here? What happened?
because you're using camera filters.
is that the Funhouse mirror filter?
I guess.
Wait a minute. I'm not exactly plump.
Well, I mean, yeah, but
It's all right here.
I finally broke out of the tiny little corner that I had been stuck in for the last few months and got through about half of our office rearranging, reorganizing, and all of that. So I'm setting up an actual broadcast area.
Yeah.
Still working out the bugs.
Well,
Looks
it
good,
looked,
too.
it looked really good, Joe, and you look very scholarly. Either that or you're about to be haunted, like in Ghostbusters, the opening in the library. Oh, look at that.
Yeah,
That's
trust
the
me, I'm a
amazing.
historian.
I'm
right.
Historian.
Did you go and buy that just to mock me? Is that what this is?
I see some competition, some friendly competition here.
No,
I'm-
actually,
did you-
I ordered it quite a while ago from I don't know if you guys have ever watched the Kings and Generals channel on YouTube. Their
No.
history channel.
I've heard of them. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen links for them when I watch was it the History on Fire?
Yeah, it's
happening right now.
it's a cool channel. They do all kinds of stuff from ancient history to medieval to Asia of different time periods. Pretty much of a global focus, really. And they've got a lot of cool animations, lots of maps and stuff that they do. And they don't, because
That's
they
cool.
do, they've got a high production value, so they don't release videos daily. I think it's once a week, roughly. But they got a ton of content there. Highly recommended.
Oh my gosh! Listen to this. Did you see this, Joe?
Jeez.
God,
Oh,
Tell your brother to get off the damn chat.
I borrow ideas sounds like a very wise person.
Yes.
Actually,
I appreciate you, IBW or IBI.
I agree with Unlucky Skydiver. I think Small Joe is better than regular Joe.
Oh,
back to
great
the
then. Joe, did
Oh,
you
Jane
get
Manhattan.
that? Did you get that lexicon set that you had ordered?
You know, I've got all but one volume back here.
Oh, look at
It's
it
the
there.
Oxford English Dictionary.
ah.
Yeah, 19 of the volumes came in. I'm still waiting on one.
Sweet dude, congratulations.
Yeah, thank
Very,
you.
very
My
nice.
kids are thrilled that we have the world's largest dictionary in the house.
Yes, I'm sure they are.
Well, I
Yeah.
don't know if I'm seeing this right, Joe, but all of your shelves look like they're bowed from weight.
Yes.
No,
that's
you are seeing that correctly.
good. That's a good thing, brother.
You need to stir those suckers up or pull back on the amount of weight.
Yeah, those were supposed to be temporary bookshelves almost 20 years ago when I put them in.
I have a
And
few things like that around the house.
yeah, so it's one of those things where on the DIY home improvement list, the cheap bookshelves are always near the bottom, replacing those with hardwood.
Yeah.
So at some point, the goal is to replace those with some sturdy hardwood bookshelves.
So we're gonna get some cool bookshelves on Pontificators.
That's
soon.
right.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. And I know that Joe would really appreciate the Lexicon Atlas room at Brown. You would have loved that room. dude.
Oh, yes, I would.
Yes. Very nice room.
That sounds
What
fun.
was that, Todd? What were you gonna say?
I wanted to give a shout out to something that dropped a little while ago. I don't know if a lot of you guys know Ryan Cardinal.
Yeah, Ryan's awesome.
Yeah,
He has the K. I don't know if it's KS or something.
Caius.
Caius. Yeah.
But his webinar, if you're a Clip Studio user, he got involved with them and did a webinar. So, and I saw him playing with some tools and stuff like that. that he wanted to show. So I'm looking forward to going to watch that at some point, but that just dropped today.
No, cool.
Hmm.
Cool.
Well, thank you for that.
Is that like a seminar, but it's about web?
It's all about using Clip Studio.
Okay.
So it's just a webinar on the tools and tricks and tips and stuff that he's developed. He has a very manga style. So he does a lot of that kind of stuff, saturated lines and things like that.
Yeah, his book Caius is a kind of a manga style take on a high fantasy story. I was one of the backers of the book, and it was really cool. That one and Battle Maiden Knuckle Bomb, I had bought both of those because I was never into manga, and I thought it was interesting that those two guys were trying to do a bit of a fusion with Western storytelling and the manga visuals. So, yeah, they were both good books.
Very
Hey,
cool.
you got your first super chat there, Tank Ferret.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, these guys are good guys. They deserve a shout out.
Yep, and that's how you get it read aloud, guys. Is you throw some money at Art. So
I noticed he didn't read it at all, actually.
Oh, son of a bitch! We all waved, Chester. Hi, Art, Chester, Todd, Comic Book Bob, and friends. I guess Zach is friends.
I'm friends.
And Joe,
I'm friends.
Oh, yeah.
Me and Zach are friends.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
just. Yeah.
I think Tank Ferret ran out of room. Yeah.
Tweedledee and Tweedledum, friends
Hey, here
forever.
we go.
Yeah, we're. Oh, you're way over there.
Yay.
Yeah,
Through Bob.
The other way, Joe. The other way. The other way.
There we go. Oh, there it is. There it is.
Yeah, baby. All right.
Joe's been knocking him back already, so he's probably full.
my arms are too big. I can't reach that far.
Yeah, I got to get past my Mondo bicep. Sorry for the
True.
inconvenience.
Yeah.
I thought you guys were just good and inebriated, so you couldn't really move properly.
No, I've today is a bourbon night, but I've barely started.
Okay, well you better
boy.
catch up because I've been drinking all day.
Oh.
I got these big waves. They're golden ale. They're from Kona Brewing Company. My wife bought these. They're pretty good. They're not bad.
I've had those. That's a good summer beer.
Actually, I got some Pabst Blue Ribbon.
You son of a bitch! You
Really?
Yeah,
You hipster
I do.
douche.
Hey, baby. Junko,
I'll tell you right now, Chester. Those are
have a beer, please.
here in Southern California. If you go out, you're going to spend $12 for a Pabst.
Okay, all right. All right, go ahead. They can't see you now. Go ahead. I covered the camera. It's okay. Go ahead.
I see her. She's right
Shut up, Art.
there.
Hubba.
Wait a minute, Chester. You have headphones. She can't hear us, can she?
No, she can't. She can't.
So you were lying.
Chester, you lucky dog.
Woohoo! Start whistling.
What did the
All
five
right.
fingers in the hand? Slap.
This is getting boring.
Yeah, it is. Scotch down in my belly.
This is not going to happen for Chester.
Hey, Nick brings up something I do want to talk about because, and I want to go back a few days when the first woman came forward about Cameron Stewart. Now, Here's what really tripped me up, right? She came forward, said some things in tweets, and all the pros started going right away. Okay, everybody stopped following him, and that nobody vetted her. But then I figured out why, because she made an accusation. Nobody vetted her because they knew. Some of those guys shared a studio with him. It was Chip Zdarsky and a few other guys, and they knew. They knew there was something about Cameron, and they watched and did nothing. And that's why they all started to do these cover their ass tweets about canceling him and unfriending him and stuff like that. It was a bunch of crap. It's the same thing going on with Warren Ellis because people knew.
Right. Well, let's give everybody some context in case they don't know, Todd. So what's the story? What started all this?
So a woman came forward telling how she had developed a relationship with Cameron Stewart going back to when she was 16 and he was close to his 30s, and he kind of groomed her. And I'm not saying anything happened prior to her being 18. I don't know. But he was doing these things of, I'll put you in the book, I'll draw you, I'll send you some art. And he was grooming her and creating a situation of leverage, a friendship leverage. I don't know.
Being a creepy old man.
Yes, he was.
So he was just doing time until she was more appropriate.
Until the law would be off of them.
Right. She never said that he did anything. She didn't admit to anything that happened prior to that, but she did admit to how, as she got older, this seemed very sleazy, and she kind of figured it out that he had really just had multiple women that he was doing this with.
So he was like you said, he was grooming the young girls, and when they would come of age, then he would strike.
Mm-hmm. And there was an incident that happened at a Toronto convention that people know about, and I remember getting wind of, but I don't remember the specifics, so I don't want to I don't want to talk on something and be completely off base. But there was an incident that happened with Cameron Stewart in Toronto.
Okay.
All right, on a cooler note, here's the hedgehog.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, yay, hedgehogs.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
Baby.
It's so cute.
Yeah. He's only 4 months, 3 months?
Put
4 months.
him closer to Zach's face. Oh,
Yeah, see, if I go like this, he wants to eat me. See, he's trying to eat me. It's like,
I like him already.
Yeah.
Very cute. My son loves hedgehogs.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. They're really, really cool pets.
What do you have to feed him?
He eats it's kind of weird. It's like a mixture of a lot of different things. He's a carnivore and an herbivore. What is it? Omnivore. He's omnivore. He's like us.
Omnivore. Yes,
So-
we have a word for that.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Chester. I figured it out before you said anything. But anywho, they eat pretty much anything. They like bugs, which is cool. And then they also eat berries and things like that. So he basically eats trail mix.
And
That's
he
cool.
eats Zach, man. So
Yeah,
So,
and my fingers. Yeah.
So not to be a downer, but to get back on what Todd was talking about, the thing about Warren Ellis that was really telling is he came out and basically admitted it.
I got something for Todd. Hey, Malrooney, you sitting down?
Oh, that whole sex thing was about Warren Ellis? Damn.
No. This is
Hold on. I'm going to interrupt the show for something. All right, so here's Florida Man. Are you ready for this? This should work.
Mhm.
I just hit refresh. Boom, baby.
Boom, shakalaka.
I wonder who did that.
Was it art?
Maybe.
Maybe.
I got a Florida Man book. Yahoo!
Yeah. Woo.
Thank you.
I hope you got a couple of sales out of coming on Jimmy's the other day, man, because that went over really well. That was a really good conversation.
Jimmy,
Yeah, that was. I was glad I came. I was hesitant at first, but very welcoming show. I love it.
That's basically what he's trying to do. He's just trying to be open to everybody. So
Yeah.
it was really cool. But I was hoping that and there was it went over really well, man. Especially when we played that video. We played that video 3 times.
Yeah.
Freaking people were dying, man. They were loving that video. So
good
the
video.
Florida Man video?
yes,
Yeah.
dude.
You guys want to see that? Let's play it.
Play it up, man.
Light it up.
It's hilarious.
Fire it up. Fire it up.
Fire it up. Fire it up.
All right, so we got some Florida Man here. Let's do this. Let's hit big screen.
Unmute.
Son of a gun. Hold on.
Now, writer Mike Barron and artist Todd Mulrooney are bringing the quintessential.
Let's start it over again with sound.
You bring your volume down a touch, I'd say.
You say the stories. Now, writer Mike Barron and artist Todd Mulrooney are bringing the quintessential Florida man, Gary Cuba, to life. Gary's just a regular guy living in a trailer with his girlfriend Crystal, but he's got dreams, big dreams. He just invented house suspenders that will secure any home to the ground in rough weather. And now he's going to show them off on Piranha Pool, the TV show where venture capitalists and entrepreneurs pony up if they like your pitch. But when his gal Crystal gains notoriety as an infamous amateur wrestler, she quickly advances to the pro circuit where her greatest challenge is an angry Australian grappler. Follow Gary and Crystal on their extraordinary journey from rags to riches. To rags, to riches, to rags, to riches. All while dealing with shady lawyers, toilet snakes, wild gators, cheating hearts, feral hogs, and problem shoppers. Back Florida Man today and reserve your very own copy of the Florida Man graphic novel. We're bringing back funny books, y'all.
Hey Todd, who did the voiceover?
It's a guy from Texas that did a national trucking ad with Jim Brawley from Bleeding Fool. So it's somebody he's done some work with in the past who had just the perfect voice.
I could have swore it was Uncle Jesse.
Dude, that's what we were saying, man. We were like, dude, this is like straight out of freaking Dukes of Hazzard, man, with Merle Haggard.
Yeah.
Like, can you believe these two guys? They're going to get out of this bucket of syrup.
You boys.
Dude, I love that friggin' that sign with Ben Henderson on it, though.
Yeah,
that cracks me up.
Here's the thing about the sign, right? Which is so perfect that this happened. I mean, this was one of those moments that just made me giddy inside. Mike was on a show with a guy. His name is Doc Hogg. It's comics and variety with Doc Hogg, and he said, "Hey, this looks like a real number. Usually, you have the 555, whatever, da 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 da." And so he goes, "I'm going to call it." Well executed. I love that he did that live on the air. So I kind of clipped that out and have made posts about it both on Facebook and Twitter.
That's hilarious.
Cool.
The sign's just funny as hell, man, because it's like it reminds me of Better Call Saul.
Yeah,
like when he makes that fake billboard and he like changes his name and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so definitely go check out Florida Man. Back the book. Pick yourself up a copy. It looks incredibly hilarious. So,
you know the funny thing about Dukes of Hazzard, my grandmother had a parakeet, and that parakeet could only mimic two sounds. One was the dog barking at the door. The other was boss hog, boss hog, boss hog.
Wow, that was surprisingly not painful, Chester.
Yeah, it was funny because it was real. It was a true life experience, Bob.
It's funny because it's true.
Okay, mimic their horn. Do you remember their horn?
Did or something like that, right?
No.
Was it? No. What was that? Yeah, that's what it was, wasn't it?
It's close.
No, it was Dixie, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
It was the Dixie horn. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The Dixie Chicks.
I think we just got canceled. I don't think we're supposed to mention Dixie anymore.
I think they're going to take that show and shit can it, never see it again.
Just change it to like two like lesbians and call them the Chixie Dicks.
I think they're just going to get rid of the South. Like they're just going to burn the whole thing. Yeah.
And why not? They're burning everything else. Man.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it, man. I mean, there is some crazy ass shit going on right now.
Well, they are starting. These communists are starting to go into little towns, and it's not working out for them like it did in the cities because the residents are stepping up with guns.
Yep. Yeah, that's the thing that's like really got me worried, man. It's going to keep getting bloodier and bloodier.
It could.
But let's go back to something more. Let's go to something more happy, like this grooming thing.
Yeah, Warren Ellis grooming girls. What?
Yeesh.
He's grooming up like those monkeys do, where they poke they get the little bugs out of their hair and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, but no, you're telling me it is Warren Ellis is the one that you're talking about with this sex scandal.
Well, there's
one
two. This happened today. Cameron Stewart thing happened about 3 days ago, and there's more.
All right, you keep saying
why is it always liberals
about cameras? Who's Cameron Stewart? Who is
Cameron
this?
Stewart, artist.
Yeah, the guy who's the artist on Batgirl.
He's done Batgirl most recently. And what you were saying, Todd, about how people seem to know about him for a while, that sure reminded me of Eric Esquivel.
Yeah,
and how
Or
he
Harvey Weinstein.
A whole lot of people around the industry who knew what he was up to, but didn't say anything until after the fact.
Exactly. It's the same thing with Eddie Berganza.
Eddie Berganza, I was just going to say, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Eddie Berganza, I understand because he was people's boss. But,
wow.
You know, this other stuff, I don't know. What would they hold over other people? Why wouldn't they have spoken out?
Well, it's just some, you know, like you get a fangirl, right? And she's 16 and you really, and you're a 30-year-old guy. Well, that's really the inappropriate is right there. But then to just sort of befriend her, tell her you'll put her in the book, in the background, send her art, and you're just kind of grooming that relationship into something else. It doesn't make it any better when she gets 18. You've been doing that while she was a minor, and you're in your 30s. So
did she just come forward recently and expose? Is that what's happening right now? Okay, because I don't know anything about it really.
Yeah, and actually, there's been a couple of women that came forward about him.
Yeah.
Well, there was apparently on Twitter. I missed it. I didn't think to go look for it for this show, but there was a bit of a pervert list that was circulating on Twitter that I happened to I was watching a video that mentioned it, and so I haven't seen who else is on it, but apparently there was some people that were circulating it and saying, here's the list of perverts, and then here's the list of suspected perverts, so I guess they could cancel them in advance.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
that's nice. Well,
and that's the thing that's concerning, because we know that some of these, like Todd said, some of these I think are 100% true, but some of them I think are just people coming in and then trying to use it.
Yeah, like
probably. But
Witchblade.
My question is really, I mean, and it's a literal one because I've been watching this for years, just like all of you guys. Why is it always these hardcore liberals that are coming out with this kind of stuff? What is it in the mindset of liberal that does this?
It's the male feminist thing, dude. There's anybody that says they're a male feminist is a freaking liar.
Mm-hmm.
They're just a predator in disguise.
Yep. Look what happened to Joss Whedon, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I have never met a quote unquote male feminist that didn't turn out to be an absolute piece of crap snake.
Are they like guys that just want to get close to women? Like,
yes,
male cheerleaders, like male cheerleaders are like, yeah.
That's exactly what they are.
Rah for the team. And then they're just like looking up girls' dresses and hanging out.
I'm sure that there exists some male feminists that are not that, because that's just the way they are. But every one of them, I've never met one. Everyone I've ever met actually turned out to be a manipulative, lying piece of crap.
Wow. They need more Jeebus in their heart.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
They need a swift friggin' kick in the ass is what they need.
Well, I did think it was funny how they turned on Joss Whedon, you know, because he's all feminist. And then it turns out that he cheated on his wife. And it's like, oh, no.
His wife was one of the ones who came after him. And was like, he's a liar.
With his leading lady, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then it turned out, I was like, well, why didn't you say something about it earlier? Because you were raking in that money.
Was it that Eliza Dushku? Is that
Eliza Dushku was the one he was trying to get with?
Yeah, from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that is.
She's hot, Chester. How about that?
Okay.
Well, let's just back
never
up.
know these days.
She probably was hot like 20 years ago.
She's still pretty hot.
Is she? I haven't seen her.
Did you see the whole debacle with The Last of Us 2? I mean, it's an ongoing trash fire.
Oh my gosh.
Abby character, which they were promoting as a lesbian, well, it turns out it's a dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
the dude.
the Ruckman guy has a character that looks exactly like him inside the game, and he's the one who has gay sex. Yeah, it's so. And then Sony, I don't get what's so. I'm like not gonna buy a PS5 now. Because
dude, I wasn't gonna buy a PS5 after all this.
Cyberpunk's
DMC
coming
BS.
now. Watch out! Now that's gonna be worse though, probably.
I don't think Cyberpunk will. I think Cyberpunk's going to be exactly like the game, which it does have some woke element in it, but the majority of the game is just basically is just basically about adventure and science fiction. Because the guy who created
have a lot of sex in it.
Yeah, well, the guy who created the original game, he's involved in it, and he's basically telling them you can do this and you can't do that.
Right.
And he's already he's already canceled out of, but like they tried to cancel him before, and he basically told them to go
fuck themselves.
Yeah,
Chester, I don't have any problem with the sex part of it. That's not my issue. My issue is the fact that there's this huge double standard that Sony's pulling with games where they're censoring games that are like, male oriented, but they would allow something like this, which is so much worse.
So much more graphic too.
Yeah, I couldn't watch it. I just couldn't watch it because it just made me feel so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And it's so it's just like I don't like this double standard that Sony's pulling. It feels like I'm like, what the hell are you doing in Japan, buddy? What are you guys doing?
Graphic violence, Zach?
Yeah,
the game is uncomfortable as hell to play.
Yeah. Well, it's an LGB5. I don't know what the hell letters are up to. It's an LGB game, and that's cool. If that's your market, then LGB, get at it and have fun with it. But don't sit and whine when it doesn't make a lot of money.
But have you guys seen
it's going to make bank.
Have you seen the user scores though?
The user scores are between like is it the like 1.8 and 3.9.
Yeah,
so it's got an overall like 3.8.
Yeah, right now it's sitting at a wonderful 3.3.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's 17,000 ratings.
But that's of course they're all bots.
Of course they are.
Yeah, of course they're all bots.
Of course they're all bots.
Have they published how many units have been sold so far?
No,
I doubt they will, dude.
Just from pre-orders alone, it's gonna make a ton of money. But
I don't
know.
There was awful. When all those leaks came out, there was a huge amount of people that withdrew their pre-orders.
Well, they said 60% reduction in pre-orders, dude.
Yeah, it was big.
Even so, it's not going to make as much money as they wanted it to.
Did you say 60%?
Yeah,
60% of pre-orders were canceled. Yeah,
were canceled. Holy
yeah.
Yep.
And it's not because of, and it's like Zach said, it's like I don't give a crap who you rut with,
right?
Okay?
No.
But the problem that everybody had was the handling. It was from the leaks that came out. The handling of the characters. God. The handling of the characters was awful.
And they attacked everybody who talked about it.
And they hired this company called Muso, who and basically all they did was mass flag anybody that was even talking about it. You didn't even have to use, even if you didn't use the video of the leaks, even if you didn't use any stills from it, even if you didn't talk about the leaks, if your title had anything about Last of Us leaks or discussion, no spoilers, anything like that, they still struck your channel down.
Yeah.
It was basically they went scorched earth, and they will not talk about it. Nobody will ask them questions about it.
Good job,
Sony. Big Brother is truly watching, man. This is some crazy stuff. But the good thing is that the people didn't want it. They spoke with their money. So if these companies start getting hit like this more often, then they're going to have to start listening to what their audience wants.
Gee, I don't know, Art. I don't know, because this has been going on for a while. They've been losing money for quite a while.
Druckmann will run that company into the ground before he lets go.
Yeah, because they're idealists. They're not businessmen, Art.
But 60%, like if I ran my business, right, and I was all optimistic, I had everything out there, and then I lost 60%. 60% of my pre-orders were canceled, I would shit my pants. Like I would be scrambling to figure out what was the problem and then how to remedy the problem. So these guys are just doubling down. They don't care.
Quadrupled down by now.
Yeah, if you've seen Ruckman, he if you've listened to him at all, he does not give a crap about about any of it, really. He's just like, I wrote this and it's beautiful, and if you don't like it, then you're a bigot and a racist, and he'll throw every single SAJW thing at you. Yeah, I mean, and he's like, so if you don't like it, you're evil, and that's his whole entire go around.
Yeah,
so
and the woman they even him and the few people that are actually kind of in his little circle over there at Naughty Dog, they're calling themselves Dog 2.0.
Oh yeah, new dogs.
New dogs. And basic reason for that is the woman who was the main writer for Naughty Dog, who did most of the Uncharted stuff, who did Red Dead 1, and was largely responsible for Red Dead 2, which Neil Druckmann takes all the credit for,
of course,
and for the last Uncharted. And basically, he chased her out of the company. She's the person, like it's her writing and her direction that built that company. And he's one of the, and they basically chased her off until she left. And the company that she works for now, like the guy, like a bunch of people left Naughty Dog, went over there, and basically then all of them are coming out talking about Druckmann, saying he's an absolute piece of shit.
Yeah,
Chester,
Feminism.
when you were talking about the company losing money for a while, were you talking about Naughty Dog or Sony?
Oh, I'm talking about Sony. I'm talking about EA. I'm talking about what's that other one there? The one with Destiny.
Bungie.
Bungie. A whole bunch of them are losing money because they keep wanting to get woke and make their woke statements, and they're losing money, but they're just doubling down over and over and over.
Yep.
They don't seem to be there. There seems to be no movement. I mean, at least in comics, we've seen the most slightest sliver of movement. In video games, you haven't seen anything, dude.
No, that really kind of it's upsetting. Is that Bungie did this really cool thing, which they started making comics about the game, and they would post them on their site and everything. But then they started, making like all these woke comics about the game, so it just like backfired.
Yeah,
and it's really sad because I had like some of my favorite artists, like Dave Raposa, did a comic for them, and I was like, the biggest. His is really good though. His is about has nothing to do with wokeness, but
the biggest problem I have with Naughty Dog and Sony about this whole thing is, and like I said, honestly, I could give a crap. It's the fact that they put this that they got this company Muso, like they sent this attack dog out there. And they will not acknowledge that it was them. In fact, they flat out denied that they did it. But you go and you look at Muso, and literally under all the copyright strikes, it says, per our clients, Sony and Naughty Dog.
Sure.
So they literally sent this attack dog out there, and then they went, "Oh no, it's not us, it's not us," and everyone's going, "Yeah, it is," and they're just like. Like prank caller, hang up, click, and they will not, and nobody will call them on it. Nobody will call them on it.
Well, the NDA's up, and they're still
striking people.
I mean, what the hell?
What is the latest? What is the latest on just some guy's interactions with them? Because I know that he had taken them to task, and essentially, the last I had checked in, which was maybe last week, they had finally stopped flagging him, but it wasn't resolved.
No,
he's going to court.
He's going to court because he's like, I don't care if you guys unflag me now or not. You cost me revenue.
Okay.
And he's continuing to push, and he's continuing to fight. But depending on what it is, like I know that what's his name, Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers, he got thrown off of Twitter because of the tweets that he put out about it.
Was it a permanent ban or a suspension?
He's still off, and I think it's been 3 or 4 days.
His channel got hit too, didn't it?
His channel got hit, but then they took the strikes off.
See, these are legal battles that have to start taking place now.
Yep.
Yeah.
These laws need to be in place. We need, because I think the only people I've heard that's taking anybody to task right now is PragerU, that they have a major lawsuit going against like Facebook and the different like YouTube and stuff like that. We need more of this, you guys, because holy shit, this stuff is scarier than all belief. Because I'm not into video games or anything like that, and everything you guys are saying, this flagging,
it's terrifying.
This is just crazy stuff, man. These are people being silenced just for speaking out. I mean, most of the time, like Jeremy, Geeks and Gamers, just some guy, those are good people. Those people, I mean, they say they might be very direct when they talk, but they're not obscene. They're not really, saying anything that's breaking any real laws.
And this is how bad it got, dude. This is how widespread and just completely, like I said, scorched earth that this Musa thing was. They actually struck Sony's own channel.
Yeah,
they struck Sony down.
Yep,
that's how widespread that thing was. They literally racked themselves.
Yeah. Well, and this conversation ties in directly to what a little bit what we were talking about before. Whereas you're seeing a lot of companies now saying we're only going to hire, was it POCs, people of color?
Yeah.
We're not going to hire whites. There's a whole bunch of them doing this, and of course that's completely illegal. We know this goes on anyway. They just don't say it that way, and they get away with it. But they're openly saying it now.
Yeah. Well, Ava DuVernay just basically said, remember that discrimination goes both ways. She literally used the word discrimination. It's like, so basically you're openly admitting you're going to discriminate.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, which is a crime. It's, and I'm just going, and literally I looked at every major news outlet. There is not one single word about her saying that.
No, of course not. Yeah.
Well, I think Nick's talking about the Sony hacks a couple years ago when all that crap came out. Man, you talk about, pretty nasty company, even amongst each other, like the things that they're saying. Incredible. Just incredible.
Yeah. And then that's what we're seeing now with all this, with all these women coming out claiming grooming and stuff. And by the way, that is not limited to the comic book industry. This thing is hitting all over the place. The wrestling industry had 5 stars accused of the same thing in the last 48 hours. And some big names, Jim Cornette, Darby Allin, Jimmy Havoc, Matt Riddle, Jordan Devlin, like people literally coming out and claiming it's that's why I was calling it Me Too 2.0.
Claiming what exactly?
That they were either that they were either groomed or that they were sexually assaulted in some way, shape, or form.
So why didn't they go to the cops? This thing kills me about this whole Me Too thing.
If someone
assaulted you, go to the cops. Because the other thing, I know what you're getting into the grooming stuff, and I get that. But we get a lot of these actresses coming up and saying, "Oh, he did this. He pressured me on the casting couch." Well, just because he's a lecher doesn't mean it's okay for you to be a whore.
Mm-hmm. Nick's
what are you complaining about?
And Nick actually he something he mentioned almost all of NXT UK's division has been canceled because of this.
Wow.
It's hitting the industry hard. And one of the claims, Matt Riddle, the woman that accused him of this, he's been in a fight with her for like the last 2 or 3 years. He's had to change his phone number like 3 or 4 times. His lawyers filed they went through the motions of filing a restraining order against her because she kept coming after him. And so he's been fighting, and her story is one of the most ridiculous. She claims that in a van with 3 or 4 other people and a person driving, that he forced her to go down on, basically fillet him, and that he grabbed her by the throat and choked her. It's like, you're telling me that this happened with 3 other people sleeping around you and a driver who was actually driving.
Yeah, women like that anyway.
Oh, Jesus Christ. God damn it.
No, seriously. No, is this real grooming we're talking about, or is this just some up and comers getting some tail? I mean,
some of it, like I said, I think the unfortunate truth of this is like we were talking about earlier. I think some of it's true, but I think a lot of it isn't. Because a lot of the stories just don't make sense. And plus, like you said, it's like, why is this just now coming out?
Yeah.
But, and that's the unfortunate truth, is because now even the people who are telling the truth, they're going to be looked at with skepticism.
Well, this is my thing about cancel culture. That's the worst aspects.
Yeah.
You can accuse somebody of something, just an accusation. I could accuse anybody of anything. And then all of a sudden it becomes fact. And then everybody acts on it. Like, this is bullshit. This is the worst. We can't live like this, because
cancel culture,
knee-jerk reaction. Somebody's just going to point the finger at somebody, and then instantly, you're a heretic, and they're just going to burn you. And the cancel culture isn't just about we just want to get to the right and correct the wrong. It's about no, we want to destroy you. Like, they go after your jobs, they go after your livelihood, they go after your friends, your family. It's absolutely.
And the thing is there doesn't have to be proof.
That's
the part that I have, and it comes down, and people are like, why can't we just believe? Why can't we just believe these people? And I said, because we're human beings, and the simple, unfortunate truth is, People lie.
And why do they lie? They lie for various reasons, and
Yeah.
usually it's for personal gain or to destroy your enemies. I mean,
sometimes they lie out of fear. Sometimes they lie because they don't think it's that big of a deal, and it turns into something worse. It's but the unfortunate, it's like I don't mean to trivialize it by quoting a television show, but it's like they say it, like the character House said in the show House. People lie. Everybody lies at some point.
Yeah. And there's variations of lies, white lies. There's all kinds of different variations. But to take it to the point of destroying another human being, their livelihood and things like that. The Andrew Huerta came up. When people go after people's livelihood, this is acts of this is, my gosh, man,
terrorism.
It's horrible. Like, that's how I make a living. If I can't pay the bills, then I starve. Then I lose my house. Then I can't feed my family. Don't you guys understand basic human needs? Like, you're going after these things that people need. And then at the same time, they virtue signal about let's feed the homeless and let's help, all these other causes. It's like, while you're destroying another human being, dude, the ends don't justify the means.
They don't, and the whole Johnny Depp thing is a perfect example, right? Amber Heard came out, accused him, which I just got us canceled because I mentioned her name, by the way, and of course they automatically believed it. Disney fired him. Everyone was on it, right? It's come out after what, a year of
About
evidence
2
and
years,
videos, a ridiculous amount of evidence. She's clearly guilty. She actually could go to jail. She won't, because she's an elite, but she could technically by law. And there's even 500,000 people on a petition to get Johnny back at Disney. Nothing.
Yep.
Not a peep, right?
Yeah.
One word from her, he's canceled. All the proof in the world doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's the perfect example. And I don't like Johnny Depp. He's a dick.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
But
dude.
still.
He's a tool. But
Yeah,
if you're not guilty of it, you're not guilty of it.
That's right.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, go ahead, Bob.
And that's the situation right now. Like I said, because I'm on the wrestling council, I follow a lot of this wrestling stuff. I've been looking at some of these accusations, and I'm surprised at the stuff that I'm seeing from people. Like, people are saying, they're like, like, there's no evidence of this, and they're like, yeah, but and they're like, yeah, but this is the court of public appeal, and you don't have to have evidence. I'm like, are you listening to yourself? You're basically saying, I don't care what evidence comes out or whether or not this is proven true or false. I'm going this direction because it's what I decided,
Right?
because it's what I want to go. And it's like, you're basically saying you're okay with people who are innocent suffering, as long as it matches up with your personal perception and agenda. And I'm like, I can't get behind that. Like going back to the whole Ava DuVernay thing. If you want to hire, black people, whatever her name is. If you want to hire black people, that's fine. That's cool. But if you're telling me you're going to, like, a person is going to come to you and apply for a job, and you're going to, like, you know what, you are the best person for this job, but I'm not hiring you. Yeah. Are you telling me that's what you're going to do? That doesn't make you a good person.
Well, it's gonna hurt your company in the long run, and eventually there's going to be a weak spot in your company, and eventually you're probably going to have to fire that person or hire another person to overcompensate for that person's lack of understanding or knowledge of the job.
But even if that person does a good job, you're not furthering your cause by emulating the behavior that you find deplorable.
Yeah.
No, it's
so
true.
For anybody who might not be aware, what's the deal with Ava DuVernay?
She's not very skilled. She was given the job because of her color, I guess.
Yeah. Regardless of any of that, though, she came out and said that literally using these words, discrimination goes both ways. So anybody that in these DMs, any of these professionals in these DMs, just remember, if you don't get that job that you apply for, discrimination goes both ways. She literally said she's going to discriminate. Which I'm like, is that where we're at now, where it's okay to do something wrong? Because
and to be bold about it and proud about it,
Yeah,
like, it's actually saying, I'm screwing somebody over, and then it's like, defying the law or whoever to be decent enough and say, you're a piece of shit, man. Not only did you're doing something bad, but you're also kind of being arrogant about it.
Yeah, you're flaunting the fact that you're going to do something that is technically illegal. You're not allowed to do that. And you think you have the high ground with this. It's like, no, you're emulating the worst behavior. You're literally emulating the behavior that you find deplorable. And I don't understand how you think that that's taking the high road.
It's not.
Well, you know,
we all know.
A fun little anthropological genetics fact that you guys might find interesting is that the vast majority of black people in America are predominantly European.
True dat.
Don't care. Really.
Well, let's talk.
I just think it's ironic because they're mainly all white people. Really, they have some African ancestry in them. So.
Well, let's talk about comic books. Let's talk about like some good childhood memories, some of our fondest like comic book and pop culture stuff. What I was thinking is that we would just maybe do like a little bit of memory lane, like reminisce about why we're here and the things that we like. So we haven't heard from Zach or Todd in a while.
Hey,
you guys want to start?
Go ahead, Todd.
I mean, video games, movies, anything, yeah.
Yeah, no, I wanted to talk about like just little things that were really kind of cool when I was into comics young, right? Because I kind of started with like Batman, All-Star Squadron, but Walt Simonson's Thor was freaking amazing. Amazing. The artwork, I mean, he's had that same style, by the way, since then, right? It really hasn't changed much. So you know, it's not as exciting as it was then, but boy, was I all over Walt Simonson's Thor. It was just amazing. Good stuff. Really cool. He intertwined some of the real mythology.
Yeah.
He made certain characters that were just background characters, put them into the foreground, made him popular. Baldur the Brave, who had sort of this, he had like an eating disorder at one point. Do you remember that? It was incredible.
Yeah.
I just remember when I was working with Walter Simonson, and I was bragging about Thor, and I was like, I don't have all of them. I have a lot of them, but I don't have I don't have the whole collection. He goes, oh, okay. So we finished the conversation. Next thing I know, a few days later, I have a box, like a whole care package of every Thor issue that he did. And I was like, oh, God bless you. You're the best.
Yeah.
I got some of Simonson's stuff up, by the way.
Didn't Simonson he did didn't he do one half of the X-Men and Guardian saga? Didn't he do like the first part?
I think
so, because I know Arthur Adams did the second part to that.
I know he didn't. He write it? Or who wrote that?
I think it was Claremont. Yeah,
but you're right. There was artwork that Walter Simonson did. I do remember it.
Yeah, because the X-Men's the first Asgardian saga, which was one of the first trades I bought, which was awesome, by the way. The first half of it was him, and then the second half was Arthur Adams. Because
didn't he also do the Teen Titans X-Men?
Yes. That right there was one of my favorites of all time, dude. I love that friggin' book. I remember the first time.
I just reread that last night, and it was every bit as good as I remembered.
That was deluxe format too, so it was blue line color. So it was definitely an upgrade from just the floppy comics.
Yeah, that was actually one of the first graphic novels I think that the first collected that they ever did. Because I remember I was in middle school when one of my classmates had that, and I was like, dude, can I see that when you're done? And I was like, holy shit, it's the freaking X-Men and the Teen Titans. I was like, hell yeah.
It had a heavy cardstock cover.
Yep.
Yeah.
That when you were holding it in those little spots that you hold it, you
had to be careful because the
heat of your body, kind of melted the ink in that area.
Yeah, that's true.
It's funny.
I hate that when that happens.
Yeah, but that yeah, especially like I like the first part of that, but I love that second half with Arthur Adams, man. Arthur Adams is one of those guys. He's just in kind of like a class of his own.
That's when all the X-Men had like Norse like get up and stuff, right? Storm had that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, what happened? That's the story where Loki kidnapped Storm.
Okay.
And he was going to turn her into.
Hold on. I gotta share this.
Blow that up. I want to see that. I love that cover.
There you
Dude,
go.
I love that cover, man. That cover is so freaking good, man. Just that pose of Jean's in.
I don't know about you guys, but when I see that Marvel and DC logo right next to each other,
doesn't that give you goosebumps?
Yeah, it excites me. I'm like, I want to see more of that shit. I've speculated, I think Ethan has as well. Like, if we really wanted to heal the comics industry right now, Marvel and DC do a killer crossover, man.
Yeah, but it's got to be the right one, though, man. It's got to be like no BS, just like a good old fashioned crossover.
Oh yeah, no politics, no agenda, definitely. Wait, I just kicked Joe out of the.
Yeah, but that Arthur Adams Asgardian thing, well, that was when Loki kidnapped Storm. He was going to turn her into new God of Thunder, because that was when that storyline. That's the storyline that Simpson was doing, where Thor was he was in hell fighting Hela. So they tied into each other.
Right. I remember that artwork was amazing.
Oh God.
I have a good memory, but I'm going to need some help from you guys as far as the writer and the artist is concerned.
Okay.
One of my favorite runs of all time was Craven's Last Hunt with Spider-Man. I love that.
Yeah, that was the Mike Zeck stuff, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. But there's one point in there that I'll never, ever forget. It was the introduction scenes of Vermin.
Yeah.
It's stuck in my head since I was a little kid. I just because he ate a woman off the street.
Yeah,
that was J.M. Diamantis. Is that
Diamantis? Diamantis and Zek. Yeah, and that's the cool thing about Vermin too, and like this predates Venom. Vermin was the first enemy Spider-Man fought that he actually lost to. He couldn't beat Vermin, so he ran.
No,
it was
right.
published in '87, if anybody's wondering.
Yeah. Love that whole Craven's Last Hunt thing was amazing. All the stuff leading up to it was one of the best. But it was just that Vermin scene. It's just like, wow.
The one cover though, right? The Mike Zeck, where is it like Craven's in the foreground, right? And it's like an upshot, like a worm's eye view. And isn't Spider-Man like just up on the ceiling in the corner or something?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Up over.
Yeah.
I'll find it real quick.
Beautiful piece of artwork.
Yeah,
and
that's
the grave hugging, the stone hugging one. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, yep. I thought the best cover of that whole thing was when Peter finally pulled himself out of the grave.
He's crawling.
He's covered in mud, and he's just like slowly pushing himself up.
Yeah,
because for the first couple issues, you thought he was dead.
I got it.
Shot him.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah. You know what? I get a lot of crap for saying this, but I actually like the black costume better than the other. I know the other's iconic.
I think it was a sign of the times. I think it fit, Bob. I think it really fit that era of Spider-Man, the black costumes, because I do agree. I think for the moment in time, it worked perfectly. I don't think it aged. Like for me, I like the the traditional costume, but for this timeline, I did like the black with the white spider on it.
100%.
It is cool, and this story arc is also what gave us the inception of Venom.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's also the relaunch of Spider-Man that Todd McFarlane did.
Yep.
Because Voodoo, what's her name? God dang it, I'm trying to remember her name now. It's not Voodoo.
Madam Web.
No, it was Craven's lover who was
good one, Todd.
Who was casting a spell on him.
This is the hardcover for
last one. That's a beauty.
Yeah,
it is nice. But what character is Bob talking about?
I cannot remember her name. Craven's girlfriend.
Yeah,
someone in the
Calypso.
Yeah,
she's the main villain in the first story arc that Todd did in his Spider-Man storyline, and the whole reason. And she's the one who you find out, like Craven that ceremony that Craven underwent where he got his superhuman agility and everything. She's the one who did that for him because she was in love with him, and she did that whole storyline to get revenge on Peter. And one of the coolest scenes in that storyline is when Peter's having the hallucination, and there's Kraven with half his head blown off.
Yeah,
because and so that storyline just reverberated because it was kind of also one of the first times that Peter kind of failed because he couldn't stop Kraven from doing what he did. And that weighed on him, and that's an element of Peter's character that people don't really understand. Is Peter's and that's one of the reasons why so many people were upset with Superior Spider-Man. He cannot let somebody else die. He cannot. It's ingrained within him. He can't let somebody else, even if it's his enemy. He'll risk his own life to save his enemies. So that moment where in the Superior Spider-Man line where he hesitated, he would never do that. He can't do that. It's a flaw within him, and it's something that his enemies have used against him because they know he can't do that.
The thing about Mike Zeck in that period of time, I don't know if you know this art, but he drew the Ramita look of Mary Jane, Peter, all the characters in his style, though, but they all had that Ramita kind of quality.
Yeah,
cool stuff.
Definitely. Yeah, it was definitely a nod to that. I want to throw something new out there. Okay, so it doesn't, because it's kind of been effed over, but I think we're all old enough, except for Zach, that remembers the Crisis on Infinite Earths, the original 12-issue run of that series. And it's not talked about that much anymore. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. Chester's doing this. I gotta, not this is Comic Book Bob. Hold on.
That's my favorite Mike Zeck cover.
Look at that.
My favorite Mike Zeck cover of all time, man.
Yeah.
Oh, that is nice.
I love that friggin' book.
That thing's been aped a billion times.
Yeah, I know. That's what that's like. It's like that was it X-Men 268 that Jim Lee did?
Yeah.
With Wolverine and Black Widow and Captain America on the cover. That thing gets aped to death. This one too. This is the same thing. I love that cover though, man.
Definitely. Oh, wait. What did I do? There we go. Yeah, but Crisis, like the reason I say it's kind of effed out is because DC has tried time and time again to somehow resurrect some kind of glory from that, where they should have just kind of just left it alone. But man, when that stuff was coming out monthly, that was a monthly book to you guys. That came out on time. That thing was epic. George Perez and Marv Wolfman, holy shit. That changed my life, that series. So
I miss those guys. I miss those guys so much.
Yeah, sorry, Art. I was just going to say, one of the things I meant to mention back when we were talking about X-Men and Teen Titans was that you had an incredible team in editorial where you've got Len Wein, who at the time that X-Men and Teen Titans was published, he was editing the new Teen Titans with Perez and Wolfman. However, Len Wein is the one who, with Dave Cockrum, had reinvented the X-Men with Giant Size X-Men #1.
Yeah.
And then you had Louise, at the time it was Louise Jones, who would become Louise Simonson.
Yeah.
And she was the editor for the X-Men at the time. So you just had, and then of course you had Walt Simonson penciling, and you had Terry Austin inking that issue of Teen Titans and X-Men. So it was just this legendary all-star cast of people working on both the illustration and the production side to make that book happen. And
it was one of those perfect storms, man.
Yeah. And when you think back to, Kraven's Last Hunt is one of my all-time favorite story arcs in comics.
Amazing.
Think of the people who were working on that with Mike Zeck and J.M. DeMatteis, and how many, and this is to the panel, how many story arcs in the last 20 years are at that level of a Kraven's Last Hunt or a Crisis on Infinite Earths or an X-Men and Teen Titans?
Well, that was like a decade of
maybe Kingdom Come.
Stuff. Yeah.
Kingdom Come was
But in
amazing.
the last 20 years,
Maybe Kingdom
No.
Come. That's the only one that comes to my mind is maybe Kingdom Come.
Oh, I see what you're saying. That's a good
yeah,
question.
that was my question. Is in the last 20 years, anybody on the panel? So Bob's got maybe Kingdom Come.
Maybe that's a big maybe too.
And that's mostly Alex Ross. Do we agree on that?
Yes.
Mostly, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know. I can't. There is nothing coming to my head, Joe.
I can't think of one.
I can't really answer that because, working as a professional, I didn't really, you know what I mean? I wasn't a fan anymore. So it's hard for me to answer that question. And I kind of stopped reading comics a lot around that time. So I really don't have any.
Oh, I know.
Time.
Joe, I know. One More Day.
I will reach through this camera and smack you, dude.
I have one. New Warriors.
Oh God! The coolest thing too about the Kraven's Last Hunt is they had the balls to tell the story they wanted to tell.
Yeah,
because they ended it. I'm not going to spoil it. If you haven't read it, go read that. But they had the balls to end that exactly the way they wanted to, and that it was cool. We don't see that a lot. That's a lot of things we don't talk about. We talk about all the wokeness and stuff, but we don't talk about the fact that they just don't have any conviction for telling the stories that they want to tell. They don't. It's all wishy-washy. Even the SJW progressive stuff, it's all wishy-washy. They won't pull the trigger, right?
Yeah.
And in Kraven's Last Hunt, they did, baby.
Well, the thing is, if you think about the tone of comics back then, is that they were still kid friendly, but they were adult at the same time. Like it was almost the perfect blend of like those two things in comics around that time. It didn't feel like it was playing down to children, but it didn't seem like it was speaking, above them either. And I think it was a good balance of tonality for comic books around that time. There was some good stuff, and there was a lot of experimental ideas going on at the time as well. Comics were growing up around that time. Frank Miller was kind of stepping in, and Alan Moore was kind of coming into to fashion. So things were changing quite a bit around that time. And then I don't know. Do you guys have any? Because I do want to see what your thoughts on Crisis, the original Crisis on Infinite Earths. Do you guys?
I would just say to Joe, to answer Joe, The Boys, Garth Ennis.
I don't even know if that's on that level though. It's good.
I love that.
I really like it. I don't think it's like New Frontiers, like All Stars, like All Star Superman, and like even those are like they're good, but they're not on that level. You know what I mean?
Mentioned in the chat that the closest, and I will say, Bob, I think New Frontier is a good call.
I don't know
that I would put it on the same level. I said in the chat that the only one I could think of in the moment was maybe Brubaker's run on Captain America, but I don't think it's quite there.
Yeah,
I thought that Brubaker thing started off pretty. It started off pretty strong. I don't know if it didn't feel like it held my interest the whole story arc. I thought it was interesting. If it's the one we're talking about, like right after 9/11, right? Ooh. Is when Brubaker took it. Is that with Cassidy or whatever?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about, Joe?
Where Bucky takes over the mantle of Cap, and he's got both the shield and the pistol.
Yeah, I thought it started off really strong. What is this?
Now, Simonon in the chat was saying that maybe Geoff Johns' run on
Rebirth?
Green Lantern with Rebirth, Geoff Johns and EVF, but
like I said,
he said he didn't quite think it's up to par.
Yeah, like good stuff, but I don't think it's quite there. The other thing that popped into my head was maybe Hellboy in Hell.
If you're going to go away from the mainstreams, then you got to go to Xenozoic Tales. That stuff is amazing.
Yeah, but even that though, I don't know that it had the same impact that those did though. I don't know if you can have that kind of impact anymore.
Now, when I think of impact, so there's one I can think of in the indies that would be sales impact was Walking Dead, but I really don't see the longevity
No, I don't either.
of that we had from the 80s, where people are still talking about Kraven's Last Hunt or Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Maybe
or
Nexus
the
is-
Dark Phoenix saga.
Yeah,
it's tough, dude. Well, how about Extremis, Iron Man?
No, even that though, because the thing is like Joe was saying, these are things like, is anybody like Walking Dead was 100% a cultural phenomenon, but are we going to be talking about it 20 years from now?
And Todd mentioned
I wouldn't put it up as like, cultural phenomenon is the best way to put it, Bob. But as a comic book, I read that comic book. I didn't think it was all that great, to be honest. I didn't really catch like the genius of it until I was working with Taylor Grosso, and she would play the video game, and then she would talk about the video game giving you all these options, and then about like moral issues and humanistic like, do you kill this guy? Do you let this person live? There's all these like life and death questions, and then I started realizing all it is it's a survival story. It really has nothing to do with zombies. It's more of like those questions, like if the world ended tomorrow and we're in some kind of apocalypse, what kind of morality do you live with? What kind of decisions do you make? Do you kill somebody that's infected, that's your best friend? These type things. And I didn't get that so much from the comic book, but when she was telling me how the video game worked, it's almost sounded like the video game was more successful than any of the other incarnations. So when you said it's a cultural phenomenon, I think that's more of what it is versus a good comic book, because I just thought it was like, okay, zombies, they're running from zombies. And
I think it's the kind of story that like I don't know that it can. I know a few people that stuck with it through the entire series, but I don't know a whole lot of people that did. It's something that like, it's interesting, it's cool for a little while, and then you're like, okay, it's the same thing over and over again. I'm moving on.
But I didn't even think it was that original, because if you look at the first Romero film, is it
Night of the Living Dead?
Night of the Living Dead. Yeah. I mean, it's just basically playing off that in real time. It's like, well, what happened the next day? What happened the following day? It's just like projecting that story into some kind of ongoing, storyline.
Yeah.
And Todd mentioned Extremis, which I agree had an impact.
Cornelius mentioned Extremis. Thank you very much.
Oh, really? I thought it was Todd.
Yeah.
No,
but we can give it.
He doesn't have those kind of clever ideas. It's
Screw Chester. We'll give it to Todd anyway. Screw Chester. We'll give it to Todd anyway. Go.
Okay, right, so Todd gets it.
So Todd mentioned Extremis, as we've all agreed, and I would say that it had impact, yes, but quite frankly, I haven't heard anyone mention Extremis since Iron Man 3 when they were talking about, this is based on the Extremis story arc. Whereas an arc like Demon in a Bottle, I hear referenced,
that was good.
over and over again. And again,
but that's not 21st century though.
And that's still in that timeline that we're talking about, when there were great stories being
back
written.
when you had these legendary story arcs. So
it's tough because we're
Chester,
picking.
I'd like to hear from you though. You said The Boys, and I would disagree, and I think Bob disagrees, but I'd like to hear you make a case for it.
Well, because I'm trying to look at story arcs that going up against probably the best story arc of all time, so it's kind of rough. But The Boys. It's a very concise story that has a beginning, middle, and end, and it's really dealing with some very, in a way, cutting edge concepts that we don't see comics go there. It was very brave to cover the subjects and deal with the extreme violence of what it would be to be a superhero. And I also think that even though we know Garth Ennis is kind of an anti-superhero guy, he's part of that British invasion guys, but he even in that thinking, he still showed heroics. I mean, in the end, the hero was the normal guy. Well, he started as a normal guy, but I just really think it was deep, it was visceral. And it has stuck with me ever since. And because I was going to say Old Man Logan, instead of that one, because Old Man Logan is another great one from the 21st century. But I just personally think The Boys has more impact, more lasting impact on me than Old Man Logan will.
I would actually say, if you had like you mentioned Old Man Logan, if they had done Old Man Logan and then left it and never touched it again.
Yeah.
And at some point, I think that might have risen to that point.
I agree with that.
But because they what's that?
I got one.
Okay.
And I'll give you. This is Art knows. This is sort of the industry
Don't you
answer.
dare say Mark Waid and Daredevil together.
No.
I swear to God.
This is the industry answer that is sort of the go-to in the industry is Born Again.
Born Again. Yeah, Born Again's a good.
That's older though. That's definitely older. But yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Again from the 80s, but again a legendary run.
Right,
Yeah.
but it's not 21st century.
Yeah.
Right. So we switched over. We went from like things that were influential to things that we can't, like 21st century comics that we just can't come up with that were influential or
it's the remake culture, right? Everything has to be rebooted.
Messiah Complex. That was a good one.
That wasn't bad. There's a lot of Marvel stuff. X-Men stuff that wasn't bad.
Was it an all-time great one?
No.
That's the thing. Like I was saying, Old Man Logan, a story like Old Man Logan, if they had left it alone and let it age and had not done like an entire comic book run based off of it, and then Old Man Hawkeye and Old Man, if they had left that alone by itself, at some point it might have risen to that. But because like Chester said, it's remake culture. It's like, okay, this iron's hot. Let's just start pounding this out.
Yeah,
and it diminished it.
This was probably the last, as far as a big story arc that I got invested in, was the Green Lantern run with Geoff Johns, and it was like the Darkest Night and all that stuff, which was pretty cool. There's iconic images that I still, if I think about it, I can imagine them. The only thing is, it didn't have a good ending. Like, it started off really, really strong, and it hit a midway point and then just flatlined. And then I don't think it ever recovered from there.
No.
I thought then they all get white and they all.
That's the thing. I've got the Rebirth books on my shelf, and I've got the Blackest Night books. But when it went into Brightest Day, that's when I stopped collecting.
Yeah, it's dumb.
It just kind of fell apart for me. And I agree, Art. I put Blackest Night in the realm of one of the greatest events. So I put it, I put it next to Crisis on Infinite Earths in terms of events. To me, Blackest Night is one of my favorites, but I don't put it next to Crisis on Infinite Earths in terms of one of the all-time greatest story arcs.
I think it could have. Yes, I agree. I think it could have. It had a better ending, man. If they ended as strong as it started, man, that thing would be. I think we'd all be in agreement that thing
100%.
Yeah,
you're right on target. Absolutely.
You even look outside of like mainstream comics. You look into like non-superhero stuff. Is there like stuff like Sin City or Ronin from back in the day? Like those storylines, is there stuff today that like in the last 20 years that would measure up to even those?
No, they don't have the balls, dude.
You're giving both of those way too much credit.
Dude, I loved Ronin.
Well, but I get what he's saying though. It's kind of like this DC Metal we had a year or two ago.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was a great storyline. It was really fun, and then the way it ended, it was like I wanted to slap someone in the head. What the hell's wrong with you?
Well, you got another chance, Chester, because there's a sequel coming.
They should start writing these things from the end to the beginning to make sure that the end is the best.
I'll put the Great Cow Race over a lot of them any day.
Yeah. But the problem too, though, Chester, is that a lot of these books they get interjected by the by editorial and by the top guys saying, okay, well you're telling this story, you can't use this, and this because this book and this book and this book aren't out. Like during that whole time, everybody was waiting for Doomsday Clock to finish. And Doomsday Clock threw a freaking wrench in everything. And that book took 2.5 years to finish.
And that, to your point, though, that was all editorial interference in terms of the delays. And you talk about not just derailing that event,
They derailed the whole
story arc, but they derailed virtually their whole universe.
Yeah.
Well, just to make your point too, is I think that's what happened with Darkest Night. I think there was too much editorial. I think it drug out way too long. I thought it started becoming like a one-hit wonder, like it was the same point over, like the same storyline over and over again. It didn't feel like it was built into anything. So maybe if they could have condensed it, got rid of the fat, edited out the fat, and didn't have as much crossover because it was in all these other books and stuff like that, then maybe, it would have been better.
And Art, to your point about it going on too long, it was just last year where they introduced the ultraviolet lanterns. As if they hadn't taken that thing far enough. I mean, you talk about beating a dead horse.
Yeah.
It just, I agree with you. If Brightest Day had been as strong as Blackest Night, then I think we might have be putting it up there with one of the all-time great story arcs. But that today it just seems like, instead of, and Art, you kind of had this as a throwaway comment, but I think it's really important to note that what you said about knowing what the ending is before you try and write the whole arc, that's really important because, Chester was saying that when it came to The Boys, one of the things he really appreciated among many was that it had a beginning, middle, and end. And in today's comics, let's say just in the last 10 years, let's not even go back 20, let's just go back 10, how many storylines have felt like they truly had a beginning, middle, and end where you felt satisfied at the end of it, and it wasn't a retread, it wasn't something that just turned into yet another event,
another contrived ending,
right?
Yeah,
more nonsense.
And that
they
seems
just keep
to be
beating those dead horses, Joe.
Yeah,
it's
and that's
kind of like Lady Thor is now Valkyrie. Beat that dead horse. You beat it. You kill it dead.
But Simeon 7 actually brought up another couple of good ones. He brought up Rising Stars, Michael Straczynski's Rising Stars.
But that's still older.
Planetary. But that was Rising Stars started in '99.
Yeah, that's older.
But those are two good ones. Those are two really, really good storylines too. But I still don't know if those would be up on that level though.
No, but Planetary is good though. But it doesn't come to the same level. No.
And Mike Wilson says, although Kurt Busiek seemed like a decent guy when I met him a few years ago. The word on the street is, he's a crazy loon. He thinks my characters Black and White are racist because Black is not an African American gentleman.
So,
isn't that racist unto itself?
Life sucks. Get a helmet.
No, I'm just it's one of those things. Like I'm just so proud that Kurt actually thought enough of my my characters to make a racial comment about me being a racist.
Black Lightning, Black Panther, blackness,
black.
Oh my God! But okay, Art, you wanted to move on to Infinite Crisis.
Oh, finally!
The Anti-Monitor.
The Anti-Monitor,
which was bullshit because it wasn't supposed to be. It wasn't supposed to be.
Come on, that's Marv Wolfman just didn't like something, and they're like, "Okay, Mr. Wolfman."
It was supposed to be Hawk. It was supposed to be Captain Atom.
Yeah. That would have been cooler, actually.
We're like, oh no, we don't want to do that. We don't want to pull the trigger on a major character like that. Let's, Hawk. Nobody gives a crap about him. We'll use him.
So for people in the chat who are not familiar with the story, let's do a summary of that first, and then we can pontificate.
Yeah. Go ahead and explain to the young lad.
It's all you, Art.
Come on.
No. Go ahead, Joe.
No. This is yours.
We're all kneeling at the knee of Grandpa Art. Come on.
My colon.
Back in the day when I could still pass.
My colon. That was good. I'm gonna write that one down. That was pretty.
Back in the day when I could have a bowel movement whenever I felt like it.
Zach, tell me a story, Grandpa. Well, there was a time when everybody thought at DC Comics that there were just too many different universes, Zach, and that comic book readers just couldn't understand that there was Earth 1, Earth 2, and that Shazam had his own Earth, and there was a Bizarro world and all these other things, right? So the geniuses over at DC thought, well, what we'll do, and the way I'm framing this, it sounds like it's horrible, but it's actually pretty good. I liked it. Is that they would basically take all these universes and just meld them into one. And so they created this anti-monitor, which I hadn't heard that story, Bob, that was supposed to be Captain Atom.
Yep, it was supposed to be Captain Atom originally. They changed it to Hawk.
How was Captain Atom going to eat all these worlds, though? Like
it was the whole idea that because his power set was like on a different level like that he was going to be an imposter and everything. It's a real convoluted story.
Well, so basically they created Galactus. They created a Galactus type character, and so it's not that he eats the worlds. It was like somehow
he consumes the universe.
Right, and then everything just kind of absorbs into itself. It like folds into itself. And so what's happening is...
I got a picture.
Oh, cool.
So do I.
Tell us the story, Uncle Art. Oh, look at that. Oh, man, there's everything. Yeah. That cityscape. That's the anti-monitor. And so, so basically, you had the entire DC universe, past, present, future, all the different worlds, all the different realities, kind of fighting this giant monster and trying to stop it from everything rolling into one. And so it's pretty much a futile battle, if I remember properly. There's a big body count. I mean, a huge body count, because pretty much, I don't know percentile, but like most of Earth, which is it? Earth 2 goes away.
Yeah, it was Earth 2, and then it all got full, like Earth Prime, Earth 2,
Earth X, Earth whatever.
X, well, yeah.
It was a culling. They were culling.
Barry Allen was probably the most notable.
Barry Allen and Supergirl.
And Supergirl, thank you.
Yeah, because that iconic cover.
They were Earth 1 because they were Earth 1. Yeah, and they both gave up their lives for this giant epic event. And it's the first time I'd ever seen anything done like this, and it was done exceptionally well. Like I can't see this thing done any better than George Perez. And then there were various different inkers. I think it started with Dick Giordano, and then it's really started getting into the good stuff where Jerry Ordway started inking Marv Wolfman, not Marv Wolfman, but George Perez. And I don't know, man, it was killer. And then to see like old time Superman with the gray temples fighting alongside, Superman, and then wasn't like Superboy in there as well. Yeah. And then didn't Superboy end up giving up his life to save theirs?
What happened was, basically what happened is Superboy Prime, which was the original Superboy, Superman Prime, which was the older Superman, Lois Lane, and Alexander Luthor.
Yes.
They all kind of basically sacrificed themselves, but what ended up happening is they got shunted into a pocket universe. And then that's what they used to get that storyline later on, Infinite Crisis, when they did that whole debacle.
I worked on that one, but it paled in comparison. But the thing is, I'd never seen anything done on this kind of level before, and I'm a big fan of like Alamo type stories, like heroes going out with their boots on. You know what I mean? Like just fighting to the death, and not giving up until they can't fight any longer. And that's pretty much like, if you had to just distill it down, all those heroes are fighting to the very last breath. And each one of those heroes in all those universes have a crazy heroic moment that will just melt your heart. Like, it's just freaking phenomenal. For as much that was happening, I can't believe how much humanity was in that story. Like, most of those pages were like 9-panel pages and stuff like that. There's some crazy. Yeah, there's the Flash.
And a few.
That's one. Now, yeah. So this is one of the big controversial things here, especially with Flash Rebirth, because in this panel, you see him die. He doesn't disappear into the Speed Force. He falls apart. He decays and dies.
Yeah.
So then you did the Flash Rebirth storyline where he went into the Speed Force. That's not what's being depicted here.
No. Yeah.
So that's one of the big controversies. But yeah, this was like one of the big like holy crap moments for this, and that's how big this event was. They're like,
And-
we killed the Flash.
A few things in the background of the event were, number one, you had Jeanette Kahn, who was president of DC Comics. So this is one of the shows where we like to talk about the ladies who have worked in comics back since virtually the invention of the medium. And so you had Jeanette Kahn, who was president of DC when this was going on in the 80s. There was a research. The project was pitched by Marv Wolfman in 1983.
It's his fault, 100%. Yeah.
And so Jeanette Kahn was on board with it. But one of the things that I thought was interesting was that they hired a researcher to go back and read every single DC comic, which took 2 years. So Crisis didn't actually start until 1985, even though the idea was pitched back in 83. So
they weren't around. Yeah, it's not like it was like, let's do a crossover, let's get on it. You know, and they got 2 weeks invested and then they launch it. Yeah,
yeah.
And Iron Man 2020, let's go.
This is and here's the thing about this. This is the thing about this that needs to be touched on. This was the first mega event company-wide crossover ever done. This was the first one. There have been crossovers between like books and stuff, but this was the first time they did a company-wide crossover. This is the one that started all of it.
Yeah. Well, it's basically a DC style reboot, is what they did.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, because on the back end of this, you had kind of a new Wonder Woman. It was Gods and something, and then they let Mazzucchelli and Frank Miller do Batman Year One, and Byrne come in and do
the Superman relaunch and all that.
In 86,
and then Wally West became Flash. So this was kind of a really an event that set up the rest of the universe to come after.
Well, do you remember what came after this? Was Year One.
Year One, yep.
Holy shit, man!
So
Batman
good, man.
Year One, and John Byrne's Man of Steel.
Yeah,
right. They even made Wonder Woman cool. What was it?
Yeah.
It was Lindsay and George Perez made Wonder Woman cool for the first time ever. I think it's the only time I read a run.
Gods and Goddesses. That's what it was.
Yeah,
Gods and Goddesses,
I thought it was Gods and Monsters, but it's not. It was Gods and Goddesses.
Gods and Mortals, was it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, Gods and Mortals.
Was it Gods and Mortals, or the Gods and Goddesses came after? That's right.
Yeah, but it was good stuff. Year One, Frank Miller and David Mazzucchelli. Holy shit! It's my holy grail. It's right up there.
Well, I do appreciate Perez's tatas. I do.
That's right, because Perez.
Tatas? What?
Perez did Gods and Mortals,
tatas.
and then Byrne did Gods and Goddesses.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yeah, actually, John Byrne did a fairly decent run on Wonder Woman. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah. That's the one that came after Perez, but Perez's was way better.
Right, it was way better.
Awesome.
But you know what? I'll tell you, like, John Byrne kind of got the physicalities of Wonder Woman right. Like she's just like lifting cars and shit, and she's just throwing stuff. Like it was awesome.
That's something that Byrne always did. I think at the time better than anybody else was displays of power. Like whenever he did a superhero, they looked like they could destroy everything around them.
You know, most people don't talk about his run on the Hulk. Holy shit.
I look, dude. That one of my favorite pieces he did was when the Hulk jumps down and that Indian guy is standing in front of him. There's this little Indian dude. He's just like,
I think I remember that.
And the Hulk's just looking like he's about ready to. The Hulk looks like he's about to kill him. You know.
Here you go.
I just remember the musculature. That like I love the way that Hulk looked like that musculature.
Holy shit.
Byrne was just the guy was just dope, man.
I miss John Byrne, and also there was something about the way he penciled and especially when he inked himself, it looked so effortless. Like it didn't look like anything was being forced or like he was working at it. It was just all just natural and it just flowed. Look at those ink lines. They're all nasty look. I mean, they're not, if you look at them from a technical standpoint, but from just like just the overall image and just the visceral aspects of it, it's just amazing. It's flawless.
Economy of lines combined with evoking an emotion from the reader.
It's just raw. It's just raw stuff. Look at the hair. Like he's just throwing that in with a sloppy brush.
This is the picture I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, I remember this.
Dude, look how freaking the Hulk just looks beefcake, dude. He looks diesel as hell, man.
That's
dude.
no Bogart Hulk.
Hey Bob, guess what I was doing? There's a scene in Chrono Mechanics, Bob, that mirrors this, and that it must have been where I got it from. Oot, who's the big caveman guy, right? He has to drain the Thunder Weasel, so he has to use the restroom. So they stop at an Indian village, right? And so then he's walking, and then the Indian chief goes, "How?" And he says, "How self? Where's restroom?"
But yeah, dude, like, where's that other one? There's another one. I was like, God dang, dude, he just
I
looks
must
so.
have been channeling this image. Oh my gosh, that's funny.
But like this one here. Let me open this up in a new tab and show you this one. Like, this is just power. This is just a display of just power. Even just doing something simple, you know. Like, yeah, like the Hulk's landing, and it looks like he's just, you know, it's like he's about to smoke everything in his path, you know.
Hey,
he's the Hulk.
Doc Samson, man.
Yeah, even Doc Samson, who was lame as hell, looks pretty badass in this.
Hey now.
I'm sorry,
Doc Samson's
sorry.
lame.
He still looks lame as hell.
He did. Remember, he put his hair in a ponytail, and then he had a red jumpsuit kind of guy.
Yeah.
I think the ponytail was better. This is very girly hair. But I'll tell you one thing that Byrne did get right is he kind of went back to the early Kirby Hulk, you know, with the more kind of primitive forehead and
bone structure.
I got another Wonder Woman here for you.
Oh, is this Byrne? Oh, it is Byrne. Look at that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Sweet. You know what? I'm gonna go on a Byrne rampage this weekend. I am jonesing for this stuff. Look at that.
We have to acknowledge the best thing that he's ever done, as far as the Hulk is concerned.
The best thing Byrne's done.
Did a whole pinup issue. Remember that? Marvel Age, I think it was.
Marvel Fanfare or Marvel? No,
Marvel
this is not. No, this is not, Bob.
Put it up there.
Look at Bob's poker face. He doesn't want to crack a smile until I actually click on it. Look at that.
All right, let's see it then. Come on.
He's holding back. Boom, baby.
Oh, yeah.
I loved
Byrne's She-Hulk was the best
She-Hulk
She-Hulk
run.
Yeah, it was, man. She was sexy, but she was badass.
Yeah.
I still, the cover for that first issue, it's really simple, but it's still one of my favorite covers.
And he must have, gotten a lot of leeway because he was breaking the fourth wall and doing all kinds of stuff. He even did an issue where he was like picking on the guys that left for Image, like inking. I'm going to ink in Jim Lee style. He did a lot of really
wait. We got to go back to that. I'm sorry.
No, you can't. You have to show my She-Hulk.
Wait.
We have to have a comparison.
That was what's her name, right, from Time Magazine or something, right? Like she was
Demi Moore.
Demi Moore. This is the cover. This is the cover I think that Joe's talking about. This is the first one I think that Byrne did.
Confused. Okay, Chester, do I go you first or do I go?
Yeah,
go Chester.
Me first. Definitely first. Yeah. Why? You don't love this She-Hulk? What are you a sexist?
Dude, you can. You mean the She-Hulk where they took everything that made her different and interesting from Bruce and then basically turned her into a female analog for him?
Well, they called her Hulk. They stopped calling her She-Hulk. She was just Hulk.
Yeah, she's not. She's no longer her own character. She's no longer unique. She's no longer what women say that they want. She's just a female copy of Bruce, right down to the mental disorder.
No, I know it's ridiculous.
No, seriously, dude, she has multiple personality disorder now. She's literally nothing more than a carbon copy of him.
He's a crazy broad.
In their attempt to be progressive, they went backwards.
They did.
And that's what they're doing with most of this stuff. Okay, so now we're gonna get to the good.
This
stuff.
This is that John Byrne cover that I think. Because then he did multiple versions of this cover. Because every time they would relaunch the book, she's like, "Okay, if you don't buy the book this time, I'm coming. I'm going to rip up your comic book collection."
Yeah,
and because she was. And people don't realize this about She-Hulk. When she first came out, when Byrne was doing her, she was Deadpool before Deadpool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was like Ferris Bueller. Like she always broke that fourth wall. Like she talked right to the reader.
And
she used to be cool.
And I don't remember her ever getting into that Joss Whedon type humor that modern Deadpool has got.
But then modern Deadpool, like Deadpool when he originally came out and was first doing the thing like the fourth wall thing, he wasn't doing that either.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, Joe Kelly didn't write him like that.
No, like you go back to like when. Yeah, he was the wisecracker. He knew he was a comic book character, but he wasn't zany.
Yeah, it wasn't played for laughs. It just kind of it was situational.
Yeah. But
here's a good example of what they're doing with the women now. What do they call the single boob now? What is that called? The mono boob?
The uniboob?
The uniboob?
Yeah. Uniboobs.
Well, you don't want that deviation or the divot between. Yeah.
Yeah. The uniboob is a real thing.
I guess I could take every piece that I've ever done and throw it out the window.
Yeah.
But getting back to Crisis on Infinite Earths, though, man. What do you guys? I mean, as a story, I thought it was really good. I thought it was great, man. I actually was upset. I was actually upset with the Infinite Crisis that came later that undid a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. Well, Bob, I have to ask, okay, because you're younger. How old were you when Crisis came out, and did you get it monthly on the newsstand?
I did not get it monthly at the time. That was about the time when I actually transitioned over to being more of a Marvel guy.
Okay.
Because I started getting into X-Men at that particular point. I picked it up later. I was 12 years old at that time. That was right about the time. About 2 years after that is when I stopped collecting comics for a while, and then I came back. And I came back when I was about 18, 19 years old.
12 was the perfect age, but I'll tell you when Crisis was coming out monthly, it wasn't the trade. There wasn't, and in those days, everything was just done matter of fact. They didn't tease like things like now where the story before the story happens, things like that. So could you imagine reading month to month and going, oh my gosh, Barry Allen died.
Barry Allen just died, or
without being telegraphed, without being told, or warned or anything. Yeah.
Or Supergirl, like when Superman, like that cover where he's holding her like that, like like that's iconic, man. Like how many? Like that's another one of those covers that's been aped. Like I don't know how many times.
Well, I like the cover, but I do have a pet peeve. Like I would have rather them not telegraph that she died. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I know they had to kind of do it to sell books. But it would have been great if you could have done it the same way that you did the Flash, where you're just reading and then you're like, holy shit.
Because I think the reason why they had to do that cover like that was I think that was the second to the last issue, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was later in the run, but also I think they just wanted it's iconic. Every hero is in the background.
Yeah. Which actually some of the ones that had already died are actually in there. Which is
are they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey Art, when you were buying that series monthly, were you getting it at a comic shop or were you getting it off newsstands?
That's a good question.
Because they weren't on newsstands in San Diego. At the time I had no idea it was even going on because in my area it was almost all Marvel. At just the local places that I had to go to. I had no idea comic shops even existed at the time. I was going to the drugstore, I was going to 7-Eleven, and they didn't carry DC.
I was actually doing some of the comics I was getting. I was actually doing the mail-in thing. Were you getting them in the mail?
Yeah, I did that with my Iron Fist books. I got those through the mail. You know what? I don't know, Joe. Was that 82? When did they do that?
85.
85.
85.
I definitely bought them on the in the pharmacy.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they were on the newsstand because I think newsstand was still viable then, but I can't remember where I bought them.
Yeah, it was definitely viable and going very strong. But from what I understand, there were certain areas of the country where it was regional in the sense that some regions would carry most of one publisher or all of that publisher, but not the other publisher. And then there were other regions of the country where you could find both Marvel and DC. And I just happened to be in an area for whatever reason back in 85 where it seemed like I had my pick of Marvel, but it was hard to find a DC comic.
I was the opposite growing up. It was all DC. So the distribution, I only had like a few like liquor stores, Five and Dime, you know, that had the comic books, the spinner racks, and they were all DC. Strangely, though, you could still get like Archie books and then all the Harvey books and even Atlas. Do you guys remember? Was it Atlas?
I remember Atlas. Yeah.
Yeah. You could get those.
I remember Atlas, but I cannot tell you a title that they put out.
There was a character he was named Claw or something like that. He was like a barbarian. He was kind of like Conan. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, there was Charlton and then there was Atlas. And I think a lot of the same people worked both companies. So like Dick Giordano and those guys. And then they later came over to DC Comics and pretty much ran DC Comics in those early days.
Yeah. Actually, in that time, I was on the ground floor of Dark Horse when it first came out.
Oh, wow.
I was there. I was talking about this with
I remember
today. I remember when what's his name, Richardson, the guy that runs Dark Horse.
Mike.
We remember. Yeah, Mike. It was San Diego Comic-Con before the big building. It was at the old Civic Center or whatever. And he was walking, young guy, skinny as rail, walking. He's like, "Hey man, could you draw my character Boris the Bear?" It was something like that. And he was some kind of Rambo type character, right? He had this big gun, and he had this headband. And so I remember, because I was friends with Rob at the time, and Rob drew the character for him at the show. And then Dan's got everything, right? So Dan goes, "Was it this image?" And he puts it up, and it's like, sure enough, it's Boris the Bear drawn by Rob Liefeld.
Right.
So that started Dark Horse, believe it or not. Like, that character started Dark Horse. So you know how like Disney's always it started with the mouse, like Dark Horse started with Boris the Bear, and then the Mask, the early days.
Before the Mask, there was a character called Black Cross from.
That's right.
Yep.
One of the other partners, who was there for a very long time. I don't know if he might still be there. You know what I'm talking about, Chris something. Chris.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, Warner.
That's it.
Is it Chris Warner? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, you had Miller was over there too, right? You had Mignola, and you had Byrne.
Well, that's where Hellboy started.
All those guys, right?
Well, wasn't
Simonson
it
too?
Was it Legacy or Legend? They had an imprint because they were like, "We're not going to go Image Comics, so we're going to do our own thing." So I think all those books.
It had the Easter Island head.
Yeah, it was.
They
had Paul Chadwick. They had Mike Mignola. They had John Byrne when he did. What was it? What it was like the New Mutants kind of.
Next Men.
Yeah, he did Next Men.
Next Man ran for a long time, didn't it? It ran for like 3 or 4 years, didn't it?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Who else did Walter
Monkey
Simon?
Man and O'Brien.
Yeah, Monkey Man O'Brien was through. There was Walter Simon didn't publish that, did he?
Was it Legend or Comics Greatest?
Legend.
It was like Legend. It had the Easter Island.
Because Arthur Adams was over there. He was doing
Monkey Man O'Brien.
Well, he was doing that. He was also doing the Godzilla books.
Yeah, but I mean, under that imprint, he did Monkey Man O'Brien, I believe.
Yeah.
Jeff Darrow was over there.
Jeff Darrow, yeah. Paul Chadwick had Concrete.
Dave Gibbons. Concrete. I forgot about that book. That's a long. Oh, damn.
Wait a minute, Bob. You might be hitting on something. So, did Miller and Gibbons do that?
Martha Washington.
Martha Washington. Yeah,
they did. Yeah, that was Legend, right?
Mm-hmm.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, they had some.
I also love their Dark Horse Presents stuff. That was a lot of fun.
Those are the good old.
And then they also Dark Horse also was they were like one of the first ones in the U.S. to like get the anime license.
Yeah,
manga license because they published Akira. I remember that's where I first got my first.
Oh, dude, I have the Marvel stuff too. I have the Dark Horse stuff because Dark Horse did Ghost and Shell and Appleseed and those too.
That's right.
Really, way before Dark Horse, there was another company that James Hudnall was involved with translating these books.
I know what you're talking about.
Is it Viz?
Viz Media. Yeah.
Well, the cool thing about Dark Horse though is a lot of people kind of think they're like an early '90s around the same time as Image. Nah, man, they started in the early '80s.
Yeah,
and they had a lot of stuff coming out.
I think they've been around as long as I've been doing comic books because I think they started about the same time that I broke into the business.
Because Terry Dodson, Mike Wilson asked, didn't Terry Dodson start at Dark Horse with Ghost? Yeah.
Yeah.
He was doing Ghost over there.
Terry Dodson did not start there. Terry Dodson worked even at Malibu.
No, I'm like Ghost, but the book Ghost started there.
Ghost, yeah, the first issues were drawn by Adam Hughes, and then
that's the female with the guns, right?
Yeah.
She was like
that
all
was
white.
Actually a completely different imprint that had a fist, and they did Tiger King or something like that. There was a bunch of different books. That was its own imprint.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was a bunch of superheroes. Mark Wheatley.
Was that Maverick?
No, it had a different name.
They do have a connection with Maverick, though. But yeah, that Ghost character, I remember there was a really clever little twist they did because she's an ethereal being, right? But they wrote in this in her cosmology that for some reason marble she wouldn't fall through, so she could actually sleep on something made of marble. It doesn't mean anything. It was just this clever little thinking,
It kind of goes with the tomb and the ghost and the dead and all that stuff. Yeah. But she's basically the female Shadow, right? I mean, she even had the two.
Even had the two 45s.
Yeah. But there was another imprint. It was called Bravura, the Bravura line, and was that Malibu?
That was Malibu, yeah. That was Jim Starlin had this purple character. Oh man.
Good.
And Dreadstar was part of Bravaro.
Yeah.
Was it? Oh,
Dreadstar was originally first comics, or was
Yeah,
Dreadstar was cool.
But then Chaykin was the standout, I think, of that Bravura, because he had like what was it, Glory, or what was that idea? I mean, it was kind of ahead of its time. It was the hero, but he wasn't really the hero, and he had somebody behind him that was basically orchestrating it and pulling the strings to make him look like a hero. What was that called? Glory or something?
I thought so. I thought it was called Glory.
It was kind of like the Truman Show.
Yeah. It was like
the
guy wrapped himself in Americana, like the flag. He was kind of like that.
I know what you're talking about now. I can't remember the name of that, but yeah, like he was a pretender.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he had some kind of PR firm or somebody that like behind him and making him look good and stuff. I don't know if he had any superpowers or not, but it was kind of like, what was that, Mastermind or Megamind, that DreamWorks idea?
Yeah, Megamind.
Megamind.
I feel bad for Zach though. All these old dudes reminiscing.
Zach's
game. Wasn't Solitaire, was it?
That was Geoff Johnson.
Yeah. Okay.
Solitaire.
Yeah. No.
I don't think that was part of Bravaro, but
cool. No.
Well,
I got a question for Zach though. After Chester brought that up, Zach, what was your first really big, either character or title, where you read a run and it really kind of opened up your eyes to the world of comics?
Oh, that's Witchblade. Actually, would be the character that got me like into a series where I was like, oh man, I got to get the next compendium. And, by that time you could buy the huge compendiums, so that's what I was doing. I was, saving up my pennies. I was making from flipping pizzas in college to buy these $100 compendiums,
Was that Michael Turner? Was that when Michael Turner?
It was Mark Silvestri, it was Michael Turner. It was a lot of different people. And then from there,
Dave Finch.
Yeah, Dave Finch. And then from there, I pretty much was like, oh, I really like Top Cow. So everything that was Top Cow, I bought it. I bought it. I didn't care if it was good or not. If it had the Top Cow logo, I was buying it. So I have this huge collection of Top Cow stuff, and especially some of the older Witchblade stuff that's really, really kind of wonky. I don't even know where I found it, like at a dollar store, or not a dollar store, like a used bookstore. I found all this, like this treasure trove of old Witchblade comics and stuff with these wonky covers and.
Dude, I loved Michael Turner's run on Witchblade.
Well, I know that Dave Finch has said that back in the day when he and Turner and the other guys were there at Top Cow, that there was quite a few of them who they were trying to kind of figure out how to do the job on the fly, and that Silvestri would just walk around and, either say, you need to fix this or you need to fix that, or else he'd be walking around and one of the guys would say, hey, I'm having a problem here. What do you think? And he would just come over there and do a quick little sketch and then blow their minds that he had solved their problem in 20 seconds.
That's actually one of the cool stories he was telling when he was last time he was over on Jimmy's channel. And he actually showed a picture. He actually has a piece he put on there, and there's literally an arm drawing that Mark Silvestri just did in the margin of it. Mm-hmm. He's like, okay, no, yeah, you do it like this, and he's like, and what's his name? Joe Benitez had another one that was the same thing. Like it was like he's trying to like figure out like I can't quite get this thing. So there's a Mark Silvestri drawing like. And he actually he drew it like right on the page that he was working on.
Yeah.
He's just like, okay, right here. And he just did like that. And he's like, I'm just going to do this page over again. I'm going to keep this.
Sure.
And he did. And he's had it.
Yeah.
And you can actually go on his Instagram and he's got it up there.
Yeah. I would love to stay and continue this conversation with you guys because this is a lot of fun, but I do need to run. So thank you all. And I will check you guys out next week. And I unfortunately I got to get into the city. So,
hey, no, man.
Take care, Chester.
Take care.
Later, guys.
Careful of those Cimaras.
Yeah, I know. Ninja too.
Yeah, no ninjas.
I thought he'd never leave. Yeah. Hey, Bob. I actually have drawings that Dave Finch and Mark Bagley drew over my drawings. So they mentored me. This was the day of fax machines. So sending the faxes out and they would like draw over them and send them back. I actually have some Greg Capullo stuff too, where he drew over on some of the black and white stuff. He corrected something. He's like, the neck would not bend that way, Art. And then he just
now I have a question for you because that was one of the things that we asked. I was talking to Dave, and he kind of said that he misses it a little bit. Is those days in the studio, like having a studio atmosphere where you had guys working next to each other, or in like offices right next to each other, and he said that there was like a synergy that they would just feed off of each other, and they would develop, and then their skills would develop and grow, and they would learn from each other. Like you see, what's his name, Stephen Platt. He loved the way that Dave was doing like his texture, like he would texture his environments and things. And if you look at his work and stuff, you see that he's like incorporated a lot of that through the time. So did you ever work in an environment like that, man?
I worked like early on. I always had a studio. So Hack Shack Studios, I think about 10 years into my career, I started that. So early on, I worked with Danny Mickey. I hired Danny Mickey off the street. I hired Trevor Scott. Trevor Scott was my first assistant.
That's cool.
And then like Jaime Mendoza, John Sabal, even Tim Townsend got his start, out of the studio. So I've always had a studio. So I always worked in that kind of environment. Unfortunately, well, you know what? I was going to say, unfortunately, I was that guy. I was the Silvestri guy. But you know what? That's not completely true because those guys, they schooled me a few times as well. So there was a lot of feedback. You know what I mean? Like, where you could learn from people, that are even starting out because they have different approaches, they have different mindsets, and they have different educations and backstories. So I did like that. And then Extreme Studios, I worked for almost a decade, I think, for about 10 years at Extreme Studios. And that was, we got like guys fresh off the street, and then we had seasoned veterans and like all in between. So that was pretty cool. Initially, what I was hired by Rob Liefeld to do was kind of recruit and train. So it kind of fell apart pretty quick because it was kind of chaos. There was a lot of it wasn't as organized as maybe it could be, but I think it was just because it was pretty much Rob. Rob was, doing everything, and that's a big responsibility. But there's two people that I brought to Rob Liefeld, and I'm so proud of it. I still have their resume somewhere. I don't have Greg Capullo's, but I knew Greg from Marvel, And so Greg was like, this is before Spawn. He's like, yeah, I want to come over to Image. I want to, you know, work, you know, at Extreme Studios. So I brought the stuff to Rob, and Rob's like, yeah, whatever.
Oh my God. He probably looked back and was like, what the hell was I thinking?
And then I did a convention in Denver, I think. And I hung out with J. Scott Campbell. And so he goes, hey, here's my portfolio. Bring it to Rob. And I was like, okay. And so I did. And Rob's like, yeah, I think he's talking to Jim Lee. I don't want to pursue it. And I was like, okay.
But that's like, did you ever like when you went over to Extreme Studios, did you have like your an office there and like you worked in like an environment with those guys? Or
dude, I didn't know how freaking cool it was at the time. I look back and I just think, holy shit. I had my own office on the 15th floor overlooking the Big A, which is Anaheim Stadium.
wow.
So I could see inside the stadium. So whenever they played ball or there would be a concert or something like that, I could see it. And another thing is, I think Rob, either that or we snuck in somehow. We had some kind of deal with the Big A, and on our lunch breaks, there was a cut in the fence. So we'd walk down to the lobby, go through the parking lot, cross the train track. There was a little fence that had a cut in it. We'd walk through the gate. We'd go to, what do they call it? Roll call, or what are those? Will call, where you can get your tickets. Yeah, and we would just go in there and we get tickets, and then we just walk in. We'd get a hot dog and a beer. We'd watch a couple innings and then go back to work. It was crazy, man.
That's cool. Yeah.
Didn't you also, I know, Art, that you hired Danny Mickey at Hack Shack Studios. Were you the one who gave him his start?
Yeah.
That's what
I trained him.
That's
He
pretty
worked.
cool.
He worked at the studio for 2 or 3 years. So did Trevor Scott. Believe it or not, both those guys I trained and worked for me, and they both worked there at the same time. Trevor worked there for maybe a year or so longer than Danny. But what happened is we used to do a lot of backgrounds and other things for Homage Studios, for Jim Lee and Will Spertaccio, uncredited, but we do backgrounds and just all kinds of stuff. So just to keep the schedule, we were always just jumping back and forth. There's pages that I inked that people think Scott inked and vice versa, because we were just trying to get the work done. And it didn't matter because the money was good, and we were all kind of, there weren't a lot of egos, believe it or not. Like we were just focused on getting the work done. And so I think it's funny how it all worked out is when Jim Lee was expanding Homage, which became Wildstorm, he hired out from under me Trevor Scott. Like that was his first hire.
He poached out from under you.
Yeah. And then Rob Liefeld and Danny Mickey. But the thing is, those guys are pretty cool. They came to me and they said, I got this offer, blah, blah, blah. It's good money. And I said, I told them both, I said, take it. But if I would have had hindsight at the time, what I could have done and what I should have done is Hack Shack Studio was always kind of an ink studio. I mean, we did other things. We did advertising and we did IP development and stuff. But that was kind of our main bread and butter. Just think about this. If I would have kept those two guys, and if I would have had some kind of forethought about what Image was going to become, we could have franchise inked out to all those guys.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like
So
we
say like become the inking arm of Image.
Right, exactly. And I already was. Like, it wasn't like it was even a stretch. Like, I was already working with Rob. I was already working with Jim and Wilson, all those guys. And also, I was really good friends with Silvestri. And Silvestri wooed me in the early days, too. I was supposed to ink Cyber Force at the time. And I was going to ink Cyber Force, and I was going to ink Wetworks. Those were going to be my 2 Image books. But you saw how that worked out. I think Mark got 1 book out that year.
Yeah.
And Will's his sister, he had a tragedy, and he didn't put out anything for that year. So hindsight being 2020, it worked out, working at Extreme and doing that instead. But I just think sometimes, man, if I had that kind of foresight, and I could just subcontract, because I could even subcontract out to McFarlane, because McFarlane, I mean, obviously Danny Mickey, all that stuff and how that all
He
worked.
did a lot of Capullo stuff, didn't he?
he did all that Capullo stuff.
Yeah.
Like I started the Capullo run.
Yep.
When Capullo first started working on Spawn, and then Danny kind of, I think maybe Todd did a few, and then Danny came in and then just took it from there and just knocked home run after home run, on that book. But holy shit, man. I wouldn't have had Black and White, though. Black and White probably wouldn't have happened. And, a lot of those other things that did happen. But it's just as far as sheer amount of money. Wow. I would have been a multi-millionaire. I did okay, but I would have been like multi-millionaire.
But I don't know how we got on this talking about Infinite Crisis. Crisis and Infinite Earths.
I don't know. We started talking about. Oh, you started talking about it. You started it, Bob. With
probably. I don't know.
And Dave, well, I asked Zach, what really had the first big impact on him. He said Witchblade, and that got us to Top Cow and Silvestri, and away we went.
And then working with people and mentoring and stuff like that. Yeah. It's all good though. You guys want to start wrapping it up though?
Sure.
All right. So I am going to start off because I have not plugged my new book this whole stream, and I cannot believe I did not do that. So if anybody is still around and listening, I launched yesterday Black and White Volume 1 Second Chance. So I am going to share this with all. So we have Black and White Volume 1 Second Chance. We launched at 10 o'clock yesterday. So pretty much a little over 24 hours. We're at 13,653. We got we have 192 backers. I think Dan Frega said he was urging people to give a good round number of 200 backers. So that would be awesome if we could close the night at 200 backers, you guys. So that's only 8 people. So that's not bad. We can do it. And so what it is, why I did this is because I closed the original campaign a little premature. And so after we closed it, a lot of people DM'd me, sent me emails and said, why did you do that? We still didn't get our book. We want a book. So my wife and I brainstormed and we thought, let's, instead of selling through PayPal, let's just run a second chance campaign. And that's what we did. And this has got a little bit of a twist, you guys, because it's pretty much the original campaign, but here's the twist. I did a new piece of artwork alongside my buddy Kyle Ritter, who colored the hell out of this piece. And so we're going to have it as kind of just the fun idea that's going to separate this campaign from the previous one. So what we have is we have an oversized poster print, which is the total bot annihilation poster. And this thing is oversized. It's 24 by 36. It's absolutely huge, and it comes with a signature. So that's the first part of the new artwork. So the second is we have, as far as the stretch goals, we have this oversized sticker. So in the stretch goal goodies, which is pretty much the original stretch goals that we put together for you guys, and it's going to have a new sticker in it, and this is going to be the new sticker. And if you guys backed Cyberfrog, the first one, the first campaign, it had a big Cyberfrog sticker, so it's going to be the same size as that sticker. So EVS inspired me on that. And so then also where we're going to use the original artwork is trading cards. So each one of these tiers comes with its very own 25th anniversary trading card. So that's going to be based on that same artwork as well. So I think it's a lot of fun. All the tiers come with a trading card. We have some of the original pages here. So this is it's this 54-page graphic novel, and it's square bound, and it's on upgraded paper and killer cover stock. It's heavy cover stock. It's an absolutely gorgeous looking book, you guys. Look at these pages. I'm going to pat myself on the back for a minute. Man, who drew that? That shit rocks. And so then we have the almost sold out, speaking of Greg Capullo variant cover. So Greg in 1994 He and I were kind of we were pretty tight at the time. He was starting Creech, and I was pretty far into black and white. So like I said earlier, he kind of helped me out, like in some of the drawing. I helped him out in some of the inking. This was the day of fax machines, so we were back and forth, kind of showing each other how to do certain aspects. And so one thing led to another, and he drew this. And if you guys remember the old Image comics, there was always like a double page pinup. So this was originally the double page pinup. So what I did is I went and I digitally cleaned it up. So I went over and digitally re-inked the entire piece to kind of bring it up to a 21st century standard. And I think it came out absolutely gorgeous. And Perea colored it up and just knocked it out of the ballpark. And look at Greg Capullo's old signature.
Yep, that's the one I've got right there, man.
The GC, and then I got the AT. So this is 1994 memories. And so I talked to my buddy Nick Brucci over at Dynamite and asked him if he could make available some of the Vampirilla black and white covers. And he said, sure, no problem. So I'm not sure how many of these he's going to give me, but at this point they're unlimited. So come by and back one of these tiers. And then here, right here, is all of those stretch goals. So these were the original stretch goals that we had for the campaign. And so we're going to make them available to you guys as well in this campaign. So we have the trading card. We have the 3-button set. We have the 2 embroidered patches. We have the mini print with the tagline, in a world where law and order is often blurred to gray, justice can only be ... black and white. We have the bookmark. And then here, this is the new edition. We're going to have the oversized sticker, which has the new artwork on it. So you can get that, all those goodies in this tier. Let me find the tier. In the Killer Bot tier. So the Killer Bot tier has everything. It has all 3 of the books. It has the poster. They're all signed. And then it also comes with all those stretch goal goodies. So there's 5 sold out of 20. That means there's 15 Capullo covers left. So those are very, very limited. And we sold, if I go back, we sold out of all the early birds yesterday. And yesterday we sold out of the gray Capullo variant. So those things are selling fast and they are very, very limited. I think we might only have about 20 or 30 of those books left. So yes, please come by, check it out, back the book. It's a killer campaign. We're going to run for the month, and we're already starting off with a crazy, crazy bang, you guys. The first 24 hours were amazing. So I'm going to hit this button here, see what happens. We got 2 more backers during the show. Thank you guys so very, very much. We're only 6 backers away from 200, so this could still happen. So thanks you guys for supporting it. Thanks for backing it. Yeah, it's freaking awesome. I am beside myself on this campaign, so it's doing quite well. So thanks to everybody that supported it, and just know everything's done, everything's printed, everything is good to go. As soon as we close the campaign, we're going to start shipping these books. So you guys will get these books pretty much ASAP. And if you're a little worried about Chrono Mechanics is at the printer right now. We're going to get the proof next week, which means in a week or so, probably 2 weeks, we will start fulfilling the Chrono campaign as well. So thank you again for the support on Chrono. I just got a note from my wife.
Are you completely out of Oodles of Doodles?
Yeah, I think I only have a handful of those left. We are going to do an Oodles of Doodles and other stuff too, volume 2. So look for that. That's going to happen pretty soon. So I'm going to take over the show, and I'm going to show off another, and then we're going to get Todd Mulrooney to talk. The Rooney Dooney, as we call him here. So I don't know, you guys. This is something called Florida Man. It looks pretty badass. I'm going to let Todd do some talking here.
Yeah, we had a good jump today. We went from 35% to 41%. We had sort of been doing 4 backers a day. today was really good. We got about 8 backers, including someone in the house. So, let's help make it happen for Florida Man. Definitely want to get on it and show some support for sure. I hope you guys you look forward to it because it's going to be a fun ride. It's definitely a fun ride. Mike Barron writes some amazing books, and I keep throwing all these little things that I create every day out there to promote it and stuff. So hopefully you guys enjoy.
I love this cover, man. It just gets a rise out of me every time. This is iconic, Todd. You managed to capture lightning in a bottle here. This is pretty killer. So you want to talk? Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. The lunchbox. You gotta show the lunchbox.
Where is that?
It's gotta keep scrolling down, man. This freaking thing comes with a lunchbox, guys. We showed that lunchbox over at Jimmy's channel, and everybody freaking flipped.
Man, you got to put it up farther, up closer to the top, man. Oh, there it is.
There it is, baby. Retro style lunchbox. Who didn't have a freaking lunchbox like this when they were a kid, man? I can tell you every single one of them I ever had.
When I was a kid, it was the only kind of lunchbox.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. And it was like, and I can tell you right now, I had the Black Hole. Remember Disney?
Yep.
Yeah.
The movie The Black Hole. I had a Black Hole lunchbox. I had a Pete's Dragon lunchbox, but the coolest one of all, I had an Incredible Hulk lunchbox.
Ooh.
I had a $6 Million Man lunchbox.
Oh my gosh, I
wanted that one, and my cousin got it, and I tried to steal it.
And I had an Evil Knievel lunchbox.
Oh my gosh, you're spoiled, Todd. I hate you.
But dude, it comes with a freaking lunchbox.
Before I ever read comics, what I thought a superhero was Evil Knievel for whatever reason. Yep. But I used to have these little rubber boots that I would put on, and I would put on a cape and drive on my big wheel in the cellar.
Do crazy stunts.
Yeah, I was a maniac. We used to have a driveway that was steep. Yeah, and I'd go across the road and then hit the bump of the grass because our driveways didn't line up; they were juxtaposed. And hit the bump of grass and go flying, but you flew into grass. So you flew off the big wheel, but you never got hurt. So I was pretty crazy on that thing.
Big wheel.
And then there was that day that Todd tried to jump the what was it, the fountain?
Alligator pit.
Tried to jump the fountain at Caesar's Palace.
Yeah, and broke every bone in his body.
But yeah, guys, that perk is freaking awesome, man. I love that thing.
Hey, Todd. Well, maybe I need to back this tier because I want one of these things, man. I do want one of these things. I was gonna say, do me a favor, but I'll just back one of these tiers.
It's an add-on. No, you can add it onto the tier you.
It's an add-on, yeah.
Oh, okay. Then that's easier. Yeah.
Yeah, so whatever version you get, you can actually go in, click on it, and you get your freaking lunchbox.
Hell yeah. I'm gonna sign up for school again. And there is Ben Hennessy.
I'll get you off one way or the other.
Yes, I will. Okay. So yeah, this is where are you at? You're 44 days left. So this is a 60-day campaign, is that right?
No, he put it up for 52.
Okay.
So we still have that. There's a little sort of trick, but I won't even go into it on the air. But
okay.
Yeah, you know the little trick.
I do know the trick, and it's effective as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, very good, my friend. This thing looks great. I'm going to play the video one last time so people can see what the heck this is all about.
Hey, y'all got beer still? You've seen the stories. Now, writer Mike Barron and artist Todd Maloney are bringing the quintessential Florida man, Gary Duba, to life. Gary's just a regular guy living in a trailer with his girlfriend Crystal, but he's got dreams, big dreams. He just invented house suspenders that will secure any home to the ground in rough weather. And now he's going to show them off on Piranha Pool, the TV show where venture capitalists and entrepreneurs pony up if they like your pitch. But when his gal Crystal gains notoriety as an infamous amateur wrestler, she quickly advances to the pro circuit where her greatest challenge is an angry Australian grappler. Follow Gary and Crystal on their extraordinary journey from rags to riches. To rags to riches to rags to riches. All while dealing with shady lawyers, toilet snakes, wild gators, cheating hearts, feral hogs, and problem shoppers. Back Florida Man today and reserve your very own copy of the Florida Man graphic novel. We're bringing back funny books, y'all.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Yes, so go back, Florida Man, you guys. There's still a little bit of time. Get that metal. Is it metal? Is the lunchbox metal?
Yes.
Yeah, get the metal lunchbox, you guys. You can carry your art tools in there to your conventions. Shows some love to Florida Man at the shows. That's great stuff. Great stuff. I'm very proud of you. Bob. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
You did good, kid. What were you gonna say, Bob?
Did you
I want my lunchbox signed.
Ooh. Yeah.
Did you like my post from the 90s from the other day?
Refresh my memory.
Where I talked about taking my portfolio and my photocopies and the 4 people that gave me quite a bit of time when I was younger.
Yeah.
And then at the end I wrote, now I just get my ass whooped by Art T-Bear.
Oh, did you tag me? I got to check that out.
It wouldn't let me tag you for some reason. I don't know why.
Is that on Facebook or is that?
Yeah, it was on Facebook.
I'll look it up. I'll check it out. All right, guys.
There were some people that were very instrumental in giving me a lot of time to kind of make me much better artist. And but Chuck Wojciechowicz, or I don't even know how to pronounce that, he would correct my photocopy. Like he would redraw my photocopies.
Yeah. Looney Tooney Todd Maroney. I like that.
All right.
A freaking lunchbox. All right. And I think The Young Lad, is your book still up? Is it in demand? Goma?
Yeah, it's still there.
Well, here, the spotlight's on you, young lad.
Bummer stuff.
Zach is so prepared.
Bring back the hedgehog.
Bring back the hedgehog. Hedgehog.
No, yeah, on Indiegogo, Golma's still a thing. Not for long though.
Well, I don't have the link. Can you share? Yeah.
I'm just like, press that button, press this button. I'm slow, man, tonight.
Wow, just hog up the show.
Sorry.
That was usually I did that. I was channeling Bob on that. It's usually Bob's line. Oh, come on. Move this along. Come on.
Oh gosh.
I think Zach's sweating. Look at
It's
that.
already in there, man. Thunderbuns
right
both.
Yeah, there you go.
Thunderbuns just fell asleep. Oh, okay. Here we go. All right.
And
We got some action. All right, man. What's the pitch?
The pitch is Lord of the Rings meets Red versus Blue. If you like those things, you're definitely going to like this book. Fantasy adventure, random characters that die. It's all there.
And it's drawn in beautiful. What is this? Like painter? You draw like in concept art style. I love this style.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all done in Krita. It's digital painting. And it all looks like this, all of it, every single little bit. So,
and each one of the pages is uniquely laid out. So it's kind of like one panel just bleeds into the other. So since Zach isn't really, I'll do it. There's no real border panels on things. They kind of just flow into the next panel, which is pretty cool and very, very original. So you knocked yourself out here, Zach. It looks great.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
And you guys should know Zach because I've been promoting the hell out of him. He did the black and white card for the pre-launch guys. So anybody that signed up for the pre-launch and backed a black and white book, you will get that Zach Bradley trading card. So thanks again, Zach. You kicked ass on that thing.
No, thank you for giving me that chance. I thought it was like one of the coolest things in the world.
Hey, no problem. It was totally unexpected, man. You just did it and you showed it off on a Pontificators. I was like, holy crap, we got to make that into a trading card. All right, man. Well, hey, thank you for sharing that. Go out and back Goma, back Florida Man, and please, please go back Black and White Second Chance. These are cool books, and they're guaranteed good times, man. Bringing back funny books. I like that. All right, man. You guys have a great weekend. Thanks to all my Pontificator brothers, and thanks to everybody in the chat for hanging out, man. Had a great time. Later.